back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping a bomb to people putting up walls. I feel like life is on hold, perception stuck in a vault. I know that time can heal all, but how much time till we fall? It's awfully chilly outside when there's no shelter to hide. When everything is a lie, you'll find that out in some time. But when the things on your mind are all considered a crime, communication aside, we'll all just fight till we die. Is this an argument or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it. Can I just get some space? I don't have the heart for this. I can't be picking up the pieces, fixing scars from this. Is this an argument or just the start of it? I wanna drive away so I can be so far from it.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take.
What is going on? We are live. Thought I'd just come on, see what's going on. Let's see. Hope you guys are doing all right. Doing all right. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content, trying to keep track with it and all that. I don't know. Maybe are there like no notifications going out? I'm curious because maybe there's something wrong with YouTube. Anybody here that can tell me if notifications are at least going out? Guess no, maybe. Not sure. Okay. Let's see. I don't think I can send out notifications. Let me see. Don't think we can. Don't think there's a way to do it. Not that I know of, at least. Weird. All right, well, I guess it'll just be a short show, I guess. All right, so we are going to take a look at some videos. Let me find them. No, not that one. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this one. All right. So we're first take a look at Auditing America video because, you know. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Chrome tab, Windows. All right, let me see. Let me see here. Let's try this a different way. All right. Sorry, I'm having some issues here. Let me see this. Hey, Ludit. Hey, are notifications going out at all? Because interesting. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Maybe it's a bad time. I don't know. All right. Let me try this here. There we go. That'll work. Sorry, I'm just having some issues here. Try to get fixed here. Oh, what we got here? Good God, this is slow. There we go. All right, so now I think I figured it out. All right. I don't even know who the hell that is. Okay. Yeah, right. All right, so we're gonna check out this video here from Auditing America. All right, so here we go. Let's check this out.
You know what's gonna happen? I'm not touching.
Such a cheap intro too, right? Like just really, really cheap. I at least put some time into mine. Kind of.
Are you recording? Yes. Why are you recording? I'm allowed to.
So I don't know why he's at a Greyhound bus station. Was he going on a Greyhound? I'm not quite sure why he decided to audit a Greyhound. And anyway, he's obviously not on the street. It doesn't seem like it. So it is a private business. So therefore, if they do not want him to record, obviously he can't record because, Greyhound, private business and all.
Not here. No. It's a public area. No, it's not. Over there's a public area. Over there's a public area. It's a public area here too.
And
it is.
No, well, over there, yes, it is.
This is public access, bro.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's property of the Greyhound right here.
This is public access. Yes, and Greyhound gets a lot of money from grants.
There's been a lot of people that have been getting into covering auditors and all that. It wasn't nearly as saturated when I first got involved. Then I like to take my breaks, and I don't really follow all the people that do that. I know there's a bunch. I remember there was Dr. Dave showed up, then Fraud Troll, and all these different people, and now there's all these more, and it's like, and a lot of them are putting out like 2 or 3 videos a day. I don't care enough to put out 2 or 3 videos a day. I personally can't see myself looking at that many fucking auditor videos and editing them and just listening to their stupidity. And plus, I have a different way of looking at their video. Not a different way of looking, but I have a different way of covering their videos. I try not to just point and laugh at them, when they get arrested and things like that. I try to, maybe I don't always succeed, and just show the stupid shit that they do and how they are wrong or contradicting or something like that. And I don't feel everyone does that. And to each their own. I mean, whatever works for you works for you. I actually catch a lot of slack because I guess I'm not always against every single one of them. When they're right, they're right. That's just how I feel about it.
Whatever you want to say, over there, from over there. All right, no, you don't tell me what to do.
Okay, actually, I am going to tell you.
You're not.
They are, right, Ham? Hey, Vlad.
What's the purpose of this?
I'm working on a video, bro. Just leave me alone.
Okay, take your video over there.
No, leave me alone.
Take it over there.
Leave me alone. Stop. Get away from me, bro.
I don't have to get away from you.
Get away from me,
I don't have to get away
Oh, I had no idea that some of them are federally owned. Oh, that's interesting. That is something I did not know. Very, very interesting. I wonder why he's all brave against this guy or something. Does he think he can beat this guy up? I mean, because usually he's not nearly this fucking brave. Did he eat his Wheaties that morning or something? I'm not quite sure why he is nearly this brave.
What's this video for? Like, you can go do it over everybody's faces like that? I sure do.
Hey, Baker.
That's going to bring in problems.
From who?
A lot of people.
Okay. So you can take a video later so you can record.
Don't tell me what.
I'm
Hey,
not
Ed.
right now. I'm not telling you what I'm asking you. Take a video later. Call the police. So you're going to wait
You're
taxpayers.
harassing me.
I'm telling you what it
You're
is.
harassing me.
I'm harassing you.
Call the police.
You're not even teaching
Call
me.
the
So you
police.
gotta go.
Call the
Gotta
police.
go.
I'm not leaving.
Like I try to stay away from the arrest videos simply because I know everyone's going to cover them, right? I already know they're going to get covered. And I would say 7 out of 10 times it is a bad look on the police, those arrest videos, right? There are those times where they are in the right, but a lot of times, and I've noticed a lot of ones that they show, a lot of them, 7 out of 10, it makes the police look bad, and they're just essentially laughing at the auditor getting arrested. And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, he's getting arrested, and okay, yeah, he's gone for a little bit, but I mean, he's gonna make money off of it. He's gonna sue the city, and things like this. I think it'd be more valuable to show them, and the wrongness that they do. Not all arrests are, that way, but a lot of them are, unfortunately. That's just kind of the way it is, unfortunately.
You really got nothing better to do.
I'm
You
working.
really got nothing better to do, right? That's
If
what
you
it
touch
is.
me, if you
I'm not
touch
touching
me,
you.
all
I'm
right.
not touching you.
Get away
I'm not
from me. I'm gonna
touching
step
you.
back.
Look, you can step it back
Bro.
as much as you want.
Bro,
I'm not touching you. I'm
I'm
not
gonna
touching you.
So wait. So theoretically, if an auditor went on in New York, if they went on one of those bridges, they could just stand there, and they would technically be on public property, and they could just film cars going by on the bridges. That is creepy. And I wouldn't suggest an auditor doing that because, one, people get really, really mad, and you might end up in the fucking river.
defend myself if you
Okay.
touch me. You are touching me with
Am
your big ass belly.
Am I touching you? I'm
Get
not
away
touching
from
you.
me.
Am I touching you? I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Please take your video over there. Please take your video over there. Please take your video over there.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, those dudes.
Oh,
Okay.
those dudes. Huh?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What's my name? I don't have to leave my name.
Hey, dude.
No, I don't.
You lost the energy.
Okay, sir, go.
What happened with the
No, you
energy?
gotta go, sir. Come on,
I'm not
please.
leaving anyway.
I'm asking you politely, man. Come on, dude.
No, you're not. You're
Yes,
getting in
sir.
my face.
Oh, no, I'm not getting your face. We have enough room. Why are you
Get out of
shaking?
my face. Because I have a fat look right on my face.
Sure.
Get out of my face.
Sure.
Ooh, he's feeling really froggy, isn't he? I mean, I know it would be a bad look. It really would be a bad look. But I would die of laughter if this guy just rears back and smacks him or hits him right in the fucking face. That would be epic. I doubt it'll happen. He's got a lot more home training, I'm sure. But I wouldn't be mad at him if he did. I wouldn't be mad at him.
Get out of my face.
There's no point in recording, sir. You gotta go. Take it that way, sir.
Get out of my
Take
face.
it that way.
Get out of my face.
Take it that way, sir.
Get out of my
Gotta
face.
go that way. My manager already told you.
You're harassing me.
I'm
Get out
not
of my
you're
face.
harassing people here.
Get out of my face.
People don't want to be recorded.
Get out of my face.
No, I'm not gonna get out of your face.
All right, so we're gonna be here all day.
We could.
All right, good. I got ice on every angle, just so you know.
Okay.
Really don't bother me.
Just touch my camera,
I'm
fucker.
not touching your
Get the
camera.
fuck away from
I'm
me.
not touching your
Get
camera.
the fuck away
I'm
from
not
me.
touching your camera.
Get the fuck away
Why?
from me.
Am I bothering you?
He's trolling him. Oh, yes. He is fucking trolling him. That is fucking great. All right, so he's in San Antonio. Someone look that up and see if they're under the Port Authority in San Antonio.
My father. You get away from me. You get away from me. It's my work,
Bro,
it's my work area.
Bro,
It's my work area.
If you touch me one more time,
I'm not touching
you know what's gonna happen?
I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm blocking the camera.
What do you think? What is gonna happen? See, if I was this guy, I would have bopped him on the nose, just give him a pop, and call his bluff. Right? He ain't gonna do nothing. And it looks like he's got a little. Look at him. So oh my God, how dare you touch me, the great Mr. America.
You just touch my hand.
Okay. I'm blocking the camera. I'm blocking the camera.
Get away from me. I have the right to do this.
Okay.
Get out of here.
Okay, and I can direct you.
No, you don't. You're
I
supposed
do.
to secure the place.
Okay, and you can't record.
Get out of
You
here.
can't record.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
I'm telling you.
Get out of my face, bro.
I'm telling you you can't.
Get out of my face,
I'm telling you
dog.
you can't.
Get the fuck out of
I'm
my
telling you you
face,
can't.
man.
I'm telling you you can't. I'm telling you you can't.
Look at this guy.
I'm telling you you can't.
Look at this guy.
I'm telling you you can't. I'm
All
telling
right.
you you can't.
What are you gonna do? Fuck? You're gonna run after me, motherfucker? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah, call the. I'm gonna press charges on you. Go ahead.
Yeah, not likely. Oh, he's with Texas Sheepdog. Okay. Interesting. Oh, see, now we know why he was brave, because he had somebody there with him. Because we know him by himself, especially when he wouldn't do this in Alaska, because we remember what happened to him in Alaska. Yeah, that didn't go very well for him when he tried to pull this bull crap. That was so hilarious when that dude like pulled up on him and he ran.
Are you gonna apologize
No.
for what you just did to me?
Sorry for you being a big ass bitch.
No, you're the bitch. You're a fat ass.
Oh, that was great. I'm sorry that you're a big ass bitch. Oh, clowned him.
Bitch. Obviously, you focus on all the wrong. Yes, you do.
My manager said you can't record.
Yes.
I'm just enforcing it.
Fuck you and your manager.
Okay.
How's
Aw.
that? Tell him I said that.
He's right there.
Good. Call him over. Call him over.
So they assume that they're assuming I'm a cop, bro.
Why?
They're assuming I'm an undercover cop.
Why?
They saw my body cam. And he goes, are you a cop? And I'm like, oh, this is a police body cam. I go, I don't want my face on his camera. So I told her, I said, I'm gonna see if I can calm him down.
You call the cops or not? Because if you call them, I'm staying, and then I'm gonna press charges on you for being such a snitch.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What charges are those? For being a snitch. How much time do you think that guy's gonna get? Do you think they're gonna laugh at our buddy here? They probably are gonna laugh at him because as usual, Enrique is being dumb.
You break the law and you call the cops, bro.
Okay.
What the heck?
You asked me to do that.
You break the law? Really? I mean, wow, bro. Wow.
That's what I'm doing.
You called them?
Yeah, sure.
Why? Why did you get in my
Yep.
face?
Hey, Adam.
I asked you to leave.
You don't, bro. You don't. First of all,
Did I touch you or anything?
you did. You touched my hand.
No, I did
Yeah,
not.
you.
Sure.
Bro, you gonna lie?
I know, right, Adam?
You gonna lie about that?
Okay.
Don't I have the right to be here? First of all,
No,
it's a public place.
no, you
Well
can't.
then, Anselmo is
Again.
wrong
Okay, no.
again.
It's a public
You
place.
see how it's all clear? You're the only two here.
It's a public area, bro.
Okay, you got to be on the outside of the building. You can't be here.
Is it clearly marked anywhere?
If the buses are right there, that is their property. If there's no question, right? Now, if the buses were up on the front, right, then okay, he can be on the sidewalk there. But it's clearly like at least every Greyhound station, well, not every, but no, yeah, every Greyhound station that I have, the buses usually line up on the said property, whether it's a garage on the side that it seems like this one is, or if it's like a small town, it's like a kind of like a parking lot area. They clearly line up on their own property. So no, he's I don't even under I don't get where he's coming up with this. I mean, it's either he's clearly lying or him and his little buddy are severely misinformed.
No,
it's very fucking opening and welcoming.
Okay, look, okay, so
It's very welcoming.
We'll just wait for the cops here and figure it out.
So, do you know what's gonna happen when I show them what you did to me?
Okay, whatever you want to happen.
You don't care?
It's fine.
You don't care?
I'm gonna answer all your questions. Wait till you get here.
Are you gonna apologize to me?
No.
I'm gonna apologize to you.
If you apologize to me the right way, not the asshole way like earlier,
I'm good.
all you have to say is I'm sorry for getting in your face. That's it. So you're gonna go ahead and just take that. Even though I never fucking disrespected you, right? You got in my face.
My manager asked you to go to the court.
Who the hell's your manager? I never spoke to your manager.
You're standing out here right now.
I never talked to your
You
manager.
don't have to talk to you. He told me to tell you to go to the corner.
Why?
Did you do that? No. So well, then
But you don't have, bro, but you're just a security person. You're supposed to observe and report. You don't take action on your own, bro. Who do you think
Did
you
I
are?
take action?
You did. You got on my face.
He asked you to leave.
You
and
got
go
on
to the
my
corner,
face, bro.
and that's what I did.
Observe
Okay.
and report.
Okay.
You are a security officer, dog.
Okay, good for
You're
you.
not a superhero for Greyhound.
You still didn't listen, regardless.
There's ways of talking to people. You got in my face within a
You're
minute.
standing right here. Can I help
You got in my face within a minute.
We cannot say whether or not that is true. The video began with the confrontation. We don't know what led up to it, which they conveniently let out. They conveniently cut different parts out, like if I don't know, for whatever reason, they leave parts out, whether they be to make them look bad, which actually we are going to be covering a little later, something else about similar instance. But for right now here.
He didn't say nothing. I go, you can't record.
Oh, I didn't say nothing. Good.
No, when I asked you, I go, why are you recording? He said, what do you say?
Unclean, what up?
I go,
Exactly.
Take it to the corner. And what'd you do?
What's the
You
problem?
continued on.
First of all,
If anybody
what
wants
the
to
problem with
join,
camera?
the thing's up at the top. You
You don't
can
want
feel free
recording.
to
You
join.
don't want recording. You're the
No,
one,
I don't. I'm just enforcing
bro.
it.
You took this shit
I'm
away,
just enforcing it.
bro.
I took it away from
You're
you.
taking this
Why
job.
would you
You're
take
taking.
it away from
You're,
me?
no, you touched my hand, but you're taking this job way too.
Oh no, you touched my hand. My poor little hand. My poor little hand, Mr. America's hand. You can't do that. Not in Texas.
Personal.
All right, well, we'll just wait till the-
You're taking this job way too personal,
Okay,
man.
we'll just wait till the-
So- You need to calm down, like my friend from Alaska.
Who of these two individuals, who is more hyped up here? Is it Enrique or is it the security guard? There's only one that is shouting. So yeah.
News Now Alaska says you need to calm down. You're out of control. All right?
That was great.
You're out of control.
Was that a
You
strong
got in my
hand?
face, bro. I could have felt threatened. Imagine I would have pepper sprayed your ass or some shit. Even though I don't have
Oh,
any.
great and clean.
But imagine
Hey,
I
you can
would've
come on
pepper
up if you
sprayed your
want.
ass.
Imagine that.
We're Adam.
That would
You
have
can come
sucked.
up.
Yeah. What up?
Point on the doll. It happens more often than you would think, Pepe. You are not too shy. You got your own damn channel.
I just called them. You don't have to.
Shy. You got your own channel. How are you shy? Don't give me that crap.
You're still recording.
Bro, because I have the, bro, because I,
just told you
bro, but I have the,
recorder.
and the thing is, I
Listen.
have the right to.
Okay,
Why,
they
what's your
asked-
problem with our
they
rights?
They asked you.
They, who's they?
don't
They,
want-
who's
they don't
they?
want
Who's
They
they?
don't want nobody in this.
Hey,
They.
When the buses come in,
Unclean, why don't you send me an email? We can set up a collab. I'd like to do a video with you, and think that'll be a lot of fun. I want to do more collabs. I had I think someone did try and do one with me not too long ago. It was Hezekiah, but they wanted me to come on their show, but they set it out like 3 months in advance. I'm like, I can't. I mean, I didn't want to commit to it and then not be able to show up. So I would have done it, but it was just way too far in advance. It's like 2 months or something like that. I'm like, no, I'm not going to commit to that because I don't know what's going to happen, right? But I would like to do something with him, but I just don't want to put something out that far in advance. Like, give me like 2 or 3 weeks notice, and we're good. And I can deal with that. But anything beyond that, I try to not commit to that unless it's the government, because you don't really have a choice when it's the government.
man, they take tight turns.
Bro, and I'm
That's
not,
for safety.
bro, I'm on the sidewalk.
It still happens, sir. It still happens.
Okay, I understand, but I don't need a.
All you gotta do is email me. We'll do it through stream. We'll do it right here on StreamYard, and it'll be easy. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. All you gotta do is email me. I'll show you where to be, and
Grown man looking out for my safety.
Who's supposed to tell you this?
Hey, okay, man.
Just tell me, yo, hey man,
That's
be
what I
nice
did
about
tell
it.
you.
No, you have to be
I
nice
did try to
about
tell
it.
you twice.
No, you got on my
And
face.
Okay, but after what? After how long?
And you know that your belly was touching me. You know that.
Oh, my
You know that.
We're actually gonna be
You know that.
covering that video,
You know that. That was
Today.
very unprofessional. So,
Adam. So that's good news. Yeah,
Well, the
I
right
should
thing to
say
do
something
is be like,
that.
bro, you call me a bitch and everything.
Hey, Navy.
Call me.
I know. My bad.
There you go, man.
My bad. But even though I don't feel good,
I know this is for YouTube.
even
man.
though I don't feel
You know,
good about the things I said to you,
I know.
you need to understand that this is the First Amendment and we have freedom of speech and freedom of the press. As long as we don't speak violence, I can say whatever I want and I can film whoever I want in public.
As long as you're not on private property, and you are on private property. Kind of like when he goes down to Missouri and he likes to go into those DMVs. Well, pal, as he found out, and I'm sure he probably tries to downplay and act like he doesn't know, those are privately owned DMVs in Missouri. There are different states that do the same thing. They outsource, and it'd be interesting to see if more don't start doing it. Not for this reason, but just to save this, to save the city money and property bills and all that stuff.
When is this going on YouTube so I can watch it?
You know your ass is gonna go ahead and fucking thumbs down my shit.
Oh, wow, I'm not a hater. Bro.
Yeah, you
I'm not
are.
a hater.
Bro,
I'm not a hater. I know y'all two working together.
I don't know this guy. I don't know this guy.
Sure you don't.
I don't know this
Sure
guy.
you don't. I'm pretty sure you do.
I don't know this guy.
I'm pretty sure.
Anyway,
So just a random person with two cameras.
If you want to come up and test it, Unclean, there's a link pinned to the top. I don't know if you've ever done StreamYard, but all you would have to do is sign in with your Google account, and you don't even have to turn your camera on. You can keep it off. It's all to the good. It gives you a choice whether you can or not. And then you come on, and we just shit talk. Anyone else also is up at the top for anyone, actually. And you just got to sign in with your Google account. Even if you have a fake Google account, I'm sure that would work too. And it's really easy. It's really easy. But some people do have an issue with it. They have a problem, and I don't get why, but some do.
no, bro, you're halfway right. I'm a YouTuber, but you need to understand.
There you go.
You need to.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought he was an activist or a journalist. He's a YouTuber? It's a good thing he's not in Washington. Because if he was in Washington, he couldn't claim the media, as we all know, and because of the case in Washington. We're actually going to be checking out another video that's kind of related there. I came a little bit prepared today, guys. You'll be proud of me.
You need to understand that you can't just be disrespecting people and getting on people's faces like that.
Oh yeah, then come on.
Look,
Well, come on. Well, make it
let's
3
see
unclean.
How
Come
close
on now,
they get
man.
to the. Well, they do this one.
That wasn't the rush. That wasn't the rush.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you something. If we,
I hope he has an LLC just because he's the type of person that'll get in legal trouble with an LLC. You know, he's not bright, and he would hire one of his friends to run it, and they'd be crooked, and then he'd get in even more trouble. I bet you he owes taxes too. I don't want to guarantee, but I'm about 75% sure he probably owes the government in taxes. If not taxes, fines or something.
look, if we shake hands, I'm gonna try to make up with this guy. Try to be friends again.
Okay, so he's going to attempt to be friends with this guy now after all this crap because he realized the dude wasn't gonna, just he's in Texas. There ain't nobody just gonna be like, all right, I'm so sorry. You are right. It ain't gonna happen like that. Anybody that's been to Texas, anyone that's lived in Texas, anybody that hell knows about Texas knows no, they don't put up with no bull crap at all.
Start all over. Fresh start.
Yeah, there's the building.
All right. So, look, bro. No joke. I'm doing these videos for educational purposes.
All right.
I have no bad feelings towards you whatsoever.
Why does he gotta shout though? Like, why? The dude's not that far from him. Why is he shouting? Like, bro, calm down. Comite.
So I'm hungry as fuck, bro. I want to get out of here. Do you want to shake hands and call it a day, or you want to have your ego interfere?
What's your channel,
bro?
What's your channel? You don't gotta step back. Calm down.
Come on.
Calm down.
I'm already nervous because of you. All right.
What's your channel?
What? Why is he nervous? Like, I don't get. He's weird.
All right.
And I'll shake your hand. It will part ways. What's your channel? And I'll like it, and I'll make a comment.
And you subscribe.
Yeah.
And you tell people to share, like,
You know
and
what? I'll link it. I'll link it on my Facebook.
will you?
What's up, buddy?
Will you tell people to share, like, and subscribe to my
Yeah,
channel?
I'll tell all my
How you doing? You have no audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
It's going all right. Am I too loud?
No, you're not.
Okay.
So you're by the name. I'm assuming you're a Texan, or at least in the vicinity.
I live in Wichita Falls, Texas.
So yeah, now being from Texas, you already know. Like, he's like, how would you deal with and someone if you were the security guard? I'm just curious. Like, would you be as chill as this dude is? Would you not be as chill?
I'd slap him, probably.
Get yourself in
No
trouble.
doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Auditors don't come up here to Wichita Falls for some reason.
Is it a small town?
104,000. It's just a medium-sized city.
Okay, cool. Well, it's good, man.
People up here tend to not take that kind of crap from anybody.
Yeah, that's the thing about Texas. I lived in Spring near Houston for like a year and a half or so, and it was weird because when I first got there, I was expecting more people to have the Southern accent, right? But
Right.
I guess I was told, like, in the bigger cities, that's not normal. That's not the norm because of people coming in and out and things like that.
Yeah. It's not that weird.
In smaller towns, you'll get more of the Southern drawl and things like that.
Yeah. I'm a transplant. I only been here 25 years. I was born in New Hampshire.
Oh, what was that like?
Totally different. People up there aren't friendly at all. They're very cold.
Really?
Oh, they
Really?
used to be. I don't know how it is now.
Huh.
When I first came to Texas, I went into a restaurant and the waitress was calling me sweetheart and honey and stuff like that. Never
Uh-huh.
heard that kind of thing from a waitress before. So it was a culture shock.
I bet.
People you don't know come down the road, they're waving at you, Go, what the fuck?
Yeah, when I was when I was younger, I joined the California Conservation Corps, and they took me up to Fortuna, California, really small town. And
Yeah.
I was told like because I'm biracial, so I was told yeah. And my one of my supervisors told me like yeah, when I was little, like we didn't see very many minorities here. And I'm like oh wow. And I noticed whenever I like walk to the store or something like that, people honk honk. Girls be like yeah, I'm like yeah, y'all ain't never seen minority before. It's like y'all are. I'm like stop, come on back, you know, because I was young and dumb. But yeah, so just I did see. I mean, I did notice there was some racial kind of tension there, but for the most part, it wasn't like too horrible. I see a lot more of that when I go to the bigger cities than I do. It seems the smaller cities, which
Right.
is, or at least so far that I've seen personally. I'm sure it's opposite in other areas, but from I've been lucky enough to not have to deal with it too much um, in the smaller cities. Big cities, well, that's different. I did a little bit when I was a kid and but for the most part, it's been pretty chill. But I actually prefer smaller towns just because I don't know. They like you said, they're friendly, right? A lot of them are really friendly. That's just kind of the way they are.
Right.
Everyone knows everyone.
And everybody knows your business. I came from a small town. I think town I was born in was about 40,000. So,
Okay. Well, let's continue this video.
all
My
right.
Come on,
good friend.
Sully.
All right, good. So I'm auditing America.
Okay.
So what do you have to do now? Do your part.
Like and subscribe. Audit America.
Oh yes, that's what it's all about, guys. This guy's a good guy. We all make
Yeah.
bad decisions, but the reality is that we can come to a
Oh, he's a Bulls fan. God damn it.
I never cover this guy. I cannot stand him. I can't stand Eselmo.
He's really bad. He's
Yeah.
really bad. I do not like him, but he is one of the ones that makes dumb, stupid mistakes, and that's what I like to cover. I don't like to cover. You know, I don't like to cover just when they look stupid. I mean, I want them to do something wrong, and he's doing totally something wrong here on private property, right?
Right.
Um, so that's what I tend to do. Um, but yeah, he's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah, his channel's
one
really
agreement.
doing poorly too.
It's actually well because he's not posting. I think I'm not sure why he's not posting, but for some reason he's just not. I think it's been a month since he's last posted, so I don't know if he's hiding or if he got bored or
Well,
what. I don't know.
I guess he was getting hammered a lot in his own chats for the things he was doing that was so stupid. And
Well, that and when Will called him out, that might have something to do with it too.
yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you really don't. All
They
right,
all
so
fade away after a while.
true. All right, so the next video we're going to take it now. Unclean, I'm not sure if you're too familiar with the Riverside accountability issue that's been going around.
I've been following it a little bit, not too close.
Me too. I actually just recently started discovering it. And I'm like, huh. And apparently, so we're going to take a look at. I don't know if you've seen the video that shows him attacking the dude. I found it.
Yes, I've seen it.
So we're gonna check that out. And it's just amazing to me that just so we all can see it, and so it's more fresh in our mind. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, but I just want to point it out and hopefully show. After watching it, I don't see how you can still support him
Yeah,
and think he's innocent. You know what I mean? It's clear what happens in the video.
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why people follow these idiots.
Yeah. Well, I get why people follow him, but I don't get the blind loyalty, right?
Yeah,
Sort of like politicians too. There's a lot of blind loyalty to what side of the fence you're on. And it's like, well, if they're doing wrong, why not just say they're doing wrong, right? It's like they're not perfect,
I agree.
but that's just where society is. All right, so let's check out this video. So apparently, Adam was saying there was a plea deal, but our good buddy Riverside Accountability is the only one's holding out. I don't know if he thinks he's going to beat these charges.
I don't think so. I've seen the video.
Yeah. There's no way in hell he's going to beat it. So I don't know what he's waiting for. It's like, what are you hoping for?
There was definitely some people being prevented from going on about the way because of what they were doing. So that's like kidnapping and
For
just
real.
a bunch of crazy shit.
For real. So if anybody wants to come on up else and join us here while we talk this, I'm gonna go ahead and get it started though, just in case. But yeah, so this is gonna be share. Here we go. All right. So I found this just like the other day.
Cool.
Yeah, just actually, I don't know what I was doing. I was trying to look up auditors. Oh, I was watching. I don't know who I was watching. I think I was watching either Dr. Dave or someone that was talking about him. And I'm like, okay, well, let me look at the incident. So I did. I'm like, okay. And then I started looking it up, and I did a Google search, and then I did a YouTube search, and I get down these. Every once in a while, I like to do just a lot of studying and research on things.
Right.
And so I just went down the rabbit hole of this whole thing, and I found it. I'm like, oh, well, I'm sure people have seen it, but I haven't covered it yet. So,
cool.
All right, here we go. Oh, it's Corinne. I'm sorry.
Faith! Faith!
Ah.
Hey, yo, homie!
Okay. From everything I understand, that is Riverside, right? Or am I wrong? Pretty sure that's Riverside. And he just went right up to the dude and pushed him, right? That's no bueno.
Watch out first.
I mean, how is that not clear what happened? They recorded their own violence. There is no, I mean, there's no question. None.
Fuck you! Stay in your fucking car! Stay in your fucking car! Stay in your fucking car! Hey, you fucking hit the car! Oh, let him go! That's what he gets.
Just ridiculous. That's what he gets. That's what he gets. Ridiculous, man. Just totally recording what they're doing.
Idiots.
I mean, seriously, it's like, what do they think this recording is gonna save them? Even I was watching like a news story, the attorney was like, "Well, they're not innocent, but like no shit, they're not innocent." I mean, God, you can't fake innocence when there's a video, showing the opposite.
Right. Their own video, nonetheless.
Right?
Go fucking get the lady that fucking hit her!
How? Where?
Hey.
No, and here's the thing. I kind of looked up exactly why they're protecting these street vendors. And I agree with the premise and the idea of protecting them because some of the shit that was happening to them is horrible, right? They're just being attacked. Right. But that doesn't give them the right to do this. I get they're fed up, but I mean, you can't react that way, especially when you have it on camera. Because I mean, it's one thing when the people do it and there's no camera, they don't get caught. I mean, yeah, you're upset that they're not getting prosecuted and things like that, but don't film your own crimes. If you're gonna commit a crime, like turn your goddamn camera off.
They can't help themselves. They do it all the time.
They really do. Like what's his face? That dude that stole himself stealing an apple or whatever. What was his name? Can't remember the dude's name.
I don't either.
Brooklyn Audit, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much history now.
It doesn't surprise me at all. But yeah, so like I get where they're coming from, and I think that is a good thing. But you can't go too far. You can't take the law into your own hands. And in this case, like the dude just wanted them to move. He came out all aggressive, true, but it doesn't mean you fucking go and push him, right? Like Then you don't start fighting the man, spraying. That doesn't help the situation.
Especially 6 or 7 of them jumping on him, and then when he's down, running over there and pepper spraying him, going out of your way to
Exactly.
go over there and do that.
Exactly.
It was unnecessary.
Excuse me. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry, your boyfriend assaulted someone. Your boyfriend assaulted someone. And you're trying to run.
No, you assaulted her boyfriend. It wasn't the other way around, buddy. Let's not pretend. God, the way they try and twist the narrative, you know?
Yeah, maybe this one incident will slow it down a little bit there in California once they find out they can be prosecuted for this nonsense.
Agreed.
People, you better stop it.
I don't know. You would hope, but I don't think because of the amount of support he still has. So I think that's going to encourage him, honestly.
Yeah, it's not going to end well.
Wow.
Hey, yo! Hey, what the fuck?
All right, so you basically get the gist of that. I don't want to play the whole thing.
Right.
But yeah, just fucking ridiculous, man. Like, I just hope that they get what's coming to them because there's no need for any of that. I don't care if it was a cop that did that to another individual, if it were a firefighter, if whoever it was. I don't care who it is. They should face the long arm of the law. They should have to pay for what they did. And it's just, it doesn't matter. Martin Luther King Jr. himself would have did this, or Malcolm X. For sure, they should face justice for this type of shit, Yeah. And a lot of the Black Panthers who ended up getting in trouble for doing stupid shit like this, they got in trouble. This guy should be in trouble. It's just kind of the way that is.
Yeah, the gang mentality took over there when the first guy pushed him and then everybody rushed in. It was just a madhouse.
It is, and it could have been a lot of pent-up frustration for different things, or maybe even something that happened earlier in the day. They just all came out and they took it out on that poor guy. I mean, sure, he came out a little aggressive, but still, like, chill, relax, man. It's not that serious. All right, so there's that one. All right, so one more video. While we're waiting, so what kind of what do you got cooking up for your next video? Who are you looking at?
I made it early this morning and uploaded it. It's waiting to be monetized. It's of you remember a guy named John Medley? He was a subsit from Missouri, friend of KC News now.
No, I haven't.
He had a shootout in front of his house. He got arrested for that and did a bunch of other things. Well, he just got arrested again, and I made a video about it. He terminated his channel. His girlfriend there, Tabby Cat, she had a channel. She terminated her channel. The guy's got 2 wives. He's one of them guys, He's got the free man on the land thing going on. He's got 2 wives, allegedly. They're not actually legally married, and he got arrested for child doing bad things to children.
Oh no.
And that video is going to come out as soon as it's either monetized or denied to be monetized, which should be by tomorrow.
So are you have you not posted in a while, or?
Yeah, I post every day.
Okay, so do you have an issue getting your videos monetized?
No, not usually. About every 4th or 5th one, it'll get one of the gold dollar signs up on there.
Right.
And I have to have it reviewed. They review it, and 99% of the time they go ahead and monetize it.
That's how it was for me for a long time. But then, luckily, I've hit a streak where I haven't had too many issues. Luckily,
Right.
because they explained to me you got to be careful with how you self-rate it. If you continue to self-rate it really, accurately, they'll just take your word for it as opposed to having to review it, which they told me. All right, so I've been real careful about that, and luckily I haven't had an issue. I don't try and monetize videos I think that they would have an issue with. So I can never monetize lives because I already know it's all tough.
Yeah, somebody might come on and swear too much or something.
Or just watching the video, or somebody might say something, off the cuff or swear. Yeah, they tend to have an issue with that.
Yeah.
But every time, I'll look and they'll say, "You can't monetize this video." I'm like, "No shit, I never wanted to. It's okay though."
Yeah, I only monetize about half my videos a month in a month's time because I don't want to make too much money on them.
Okay.
So I have to shut off the monetization to everything after about 14 days or so.
Okay.
I make what I want to make in the first half of the month.
Nice. Very good. All right. So this next video, what we're going to talk about. So I'm sure you're familiar with the Washington Supreme Court decision about YouTubers not being media.
Right.
Well, apparently, Fraud Troll made a video talking about it, and John Felix decided to. He had an issue with what he was saying, and so he did a live, and him and I don't even know who the hell he had with him were commenting on it, and I took issue with what he was saying because they were both right in this video. Yes, the auditor was right on a technicality, but he was right.
Yeah.
But and I'll show you when we get to it, we'll talk about it. But what do you think about that? First of all, I do think it was an accurate decision, but I think it's going to get reversed personally.
It may. A lot of people think it's a Supreme Court of the United States decision. It's not. It only applies in Washington State.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of people think it applies everywhere, but it does not.
No, it doesn't. It only applies in Washington. Though that means if any auditor does go to Washington, they cannot go into post offices and film. They could actually get pushed, and if they try and take it to court, they would lose because of this ruling. Right. And John Felix is trying to argue that is not the case, and he's wrong. It's a very convoluted answer, and it's almost like they're nitpicking with how they respond to it. But it's the same thing that they're accusing him of as his explanation for it, right? It's really, really funny. They're doing the same thing they're accusing him of doing. So I found it comically. Yeah, I found it comical. But anyway, let's check it out.
All right.
The one about the Florida hurricane.
Sure. Back in
Sound like that again?
I just happened to our argument right there. The Supreme Court, nothing else to do. Sure.
Okay. Right on.
It was really
all right,
happened to be the right place.
All right. So PC again, Fraud or Troll brought up the Washington State Supreme Court case. And you broke it down for me last night on the phone, and I want you to do the exact same thing right now.
Yeah. So basically, he started off with, what part of the First Amendment?
Yeah, I mean, you're right in that, but it defines what media is, right? And in most cases, when they deal with that, once the law defines what media is, and it's defined under books, right? So if then they define the media as your YouTube channel not being media, then it stands to reason that the same thing can be met if they go into a post office and they claim to be media and they can do this, right? If the Supreme Court's already said this is what media is, then that's what media is, and they can get in trouble for that. I'm not saying they're not media themselves, but according to Washington law, they are not in any legal instance that refers to media by name and by law. They're fucked, and they're stuck in that they're stuck in that definition until it either gets updated, which I'm sure it will, because I mean, since it got enacted, the landscape has completely and utterly changed.
Yep.
Do you exercise? I think that was his first question. And you
Right,
said,
right.
you know, press. So you
Mhm.
replied press immediately. And I'm going to call him fraud guy because he's the fraud.
Of
So
course.
fraud guy says, good, that's what I hear often. And then he starts into it. And he says, the Supreme Court of Washington has ruled that having a camera and YouTube channel doesn't make you press. And that's literally his entire argument right there. The
Right.
Supreme Court of Washington says that having a camera and a YouTube channel doesn't make you press. Doesn't go into anything else. That's his entire basis for his argument. And this is flawed extremely on the part of the case, because the case wasn't about if he was press or his YouTube channel is press.
Which is well, it's kind of true, because in order to do it, they had to define what media was, right? That was the whole thing that they did, and based off of the definition that is codified in Washington, it didn't meet that criteria. As this guy will actually let you know right away. He'll always continue. He'll say it too.
So basically, when you start digging into the case, and I've got a ton of stuff here, I'll probably go off sideways a little bit here and there, just to throw in some points, because he touches on them. I actually went through about half the video today,
Yes, right,
and
Rooted.
just went through each one of the points they made about until he got about halfway through that. I couldn't take them anymore. So I got a bunch of stuff to touch on with that if you want to go that far.
Go for it. You got about an hour. Let's do an hour.
All right. So it's the Washington State Supreme Court handed down a decision in a case where it was asked to decide whether a guy with a YouTube channel counts as, quote, news media for the purposes of certain state laws. So in there,
Okay, that is the key, and that's what he's arguing right here, right now. When they make this decision, it's going to be for legal purposes, right? So I think by that, I believe, I'm no lawyer, so don't take my fucking word for it, but I believe that this would apply to the post office, because it says media. And if there were a case to go to court, they would have to identify, is he media as well? And the Washington Supreme Court has already determined that he is not media. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't take that definition. I mean, do you see why they wouldn't take that definition?
I don't know. It's so convoluted.
I
The law is so wide open, anybody can fall into it. So I don't know. I like you said, I don't think it'll hold up under the United States Supreme Court. I think it'll get shut down.
It won't, because it won't. It's because it was happening in 2007. We're in 2024. But when this law, the internet wasn't, I mean, it was new, right? We're nowhere near what we are now. So now, I mean, there are even Breitbart. There's different media access. We access media differently, information and things like that. So it won't hold up in court. But this really does show that the laws don't keep up with the technology, and I think that is a huge issue. Huge issue.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
That is one thing that this case has brought forward. I mean, even the judges admit it hasn't kept up with it, because things are so different now. They're like, well, we have to do this, but we're not sure how it's going to go. Their hands were basically tied, and you'll hear that here too.
Yeah, I'm wondering why nobody's brought it to the Supreme Court yet.
They might be trying.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't surprise me if they did. Now, I don't know if they would take it. They might take it. They probably would, actually. They probably would.
Yeah.
State laws, they have this phrase called news media, and then they define what news media is. So they said no, he doesn't qualify as news media in certain purposes of state laws. And then you start digging into the case as to what the state laws are. And basically, this guy, Brian Green, filed the public documents request for any and all records of official photos and or birth dates and or rank and or position and or badge number and or date of hire.
Now, what was he going to do with all that information? You know what he was going to put him on blast. He was going to do that. That's everything he was going to do.
That's their intention for getting it in the first place.
I don't know. I think they would, just because they tend to take First Amendment cases seriously.
Right.
So I think they might take it. Maybe I just do. I have a feeling they would.
If somebody presented a good argument to them, they probably would. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this would be a good argument, because I mean, especially if they read the briefing of what the judges said, like, well, wait a minute, if it's just a technicality. Because I mean, if they don't take it up, I don't trust Washington or any other state to update their law at all. They'll just keep it on the books until they're forced to.
Right.
And honestly, they're really lazy like that. You know, government is just lazy.
Yep.
And or whatever, for all the detention center and jail personnel and deputies that he had an issue with.
Now, was this an auditor?
He goes by Liberty Champion, and he's got a YouTube channel. And he reports on the news in I believe it's the Seattle, Washington area. So he does his own news channel, if you will. And I don't know, he probably does audits too. I'm not really sure. I didn't go look at his channel.
His case was in 2021, right?
So it was resolved in 2021. I think this actually happened. According to this, it was for deputies on duty in November of 2014. So it actually went back quite a ways. So under the state law, photographs and birthdays are redacted from public document requests for public employees' personnel records, except for requests made by members of the, quote, news media. So this is where the news media term comes into play that they defined earlier. So now they have to define what news media is. So Green argued that because he maintains a YouTube site or channel called Liberty's Champion, where he sometimes posts videos discussing local politics, he therefore counts as news media, and therefore the exception should apply to him. And the question before the court is Green news media? But that is specifically applying to the public records request law to get the birth dates and stuff like that, which they wouldn't normally give out. But if you qualify under their definition of news media, you can get this information. So then he goes, he asked.
And there's a reason for that, because the news media, they have ethics, right? They're not going to go and post information that would be detrimental to an individual, right? They
wouldn't. Really?
Alone, theoretically, they're not supposed to.
Right. Ethics, and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of way, and they don't always abide by it, but for the most part, they do, because they obviously don't want to get sued and things like that. I mean,
right. If they don't follow it, it costs them a lot of money if they.
It really does, and which is why I personally don't have an issue when YouTube does the same thing, because because a lot of people will try and sue YouTube for letting the videos go up, which is
for public safety. He's threatening to sue YouTube now after Chile didn't get all. They got YouTube's out of it now. They're out of it completely.
Oh yeah.
Now,
it's ridiculous. Like YouTube, because YouTube changed, and the reason YouTube changed their term of service and said we are, as content creators, we're responsible for our own thing, is because of what happened with there was a bunch of, I guess, like child endangerment, child CP, things like that on YouTube, and they're getting sued for it for COPPA violations, and they end up shitting out all this money for it. And so they're like, well, we're not going to allow that to happen anymore. So now they put the onus on us, which is what it is. But it's just like, because now we have to make sure, is it for adult? Is it for children? Things like this. They pass the buck because they don't want to they don't want to shell out all that fucking money. I can't remember how much they ended up paying, but they ended up paying a fucking.
Yeah, they made a good business decision. I know when you post the video, you can choose whether it's for kids or not. If you put it's for kids, it can't be monetized.
Yeah, and if you do it, and you'll get you'll end up with the COPPA fine if you're wrong. So
Right.
make sure you do. So if you do post videos, and I've noticed at least because you can set it to where, but I think it automatically starts off as for kids, doesn't it? When you
It
post
does.
videos?
I've got mine set permanently for
Me
not
too.
for kids.
Me too. But yeah, so just for you people who don't post videos regularly, it starts out as for kids. So make sure you change that, or you could end up with some fines, and you don't want that because
Yeah,
YouTube saying, no, that's on you. We told you.
yeah.
You
there-
didn't read the terms of service. It's not our fault.
You get three choices. You get not for kids, for kids, and the other one is adult content.
Yeah.
That way they make it for 18 over. Nobody under 18 can watch it. You want to pick the not for kids one,
Yes, unless it is for kids.
right?
But normally all the shit we cover is definitely not for kids.
No.
I've noticed there's a few auditors that do for kids. I'm like, oh, you're gonna get in so much trouble.
Man.
So, well, what's the relevant definition of news media as codified in the state law? So their state law says any newspaper, magazine, or other periodical, book publisher, news agency, wire service, radio, television station, or network, cable, satellite station, network, or audiovisual production company, or any entity, that's a key word, that is a regular business of news gathering and disseminating news or information to the public by any means, including but not limited to print, broadcast, photographic, mechanical, internet, or electronic distribution. So that's the first part that he has to qualify for. And because it says entity, that comes into play later on. Then it says,
so if he were LLC, he probably would be okay with it. But because he's not his own company, he doesn't meet that burden, as he'll define later.
That's the first part of what makes news media. The second part is any person who has been employee, agent, or independent contractor of any entity listed in of the subsection, who is or has been engaged in bona fide news gathering for such entity, and who obtained prepared the news or information that is sought while serving in that capacity. So he has to, in order to meet this qualification to be news media.
Are you there, Navy?
Unmute yourself, Navy Tech.
Yeah, you're muted. Uh-oh.
The button on the left underneath the screen is the unmute button. Whoop.
Okay.
He dropped.
Maybe there was a issue.
Technical issue.
According to that particular state law, which is dealing with public records requests, it's a two-part analysis. And they go on to state, the court interpreted this in the case. It said, first,
is it just me, or can you totally tell the dude talking probably loves to hear himself talk? Doesn't it seem like that?
Sounds like it. He's not taking too many breaths in between.
I know, right? Just from their cages, you can tell people that love to hear themselves talk. That and just kind of the air, how they represent themselves while they're talking, you could tell.
I guarantee he's got headphones on listening to himself.
Yeah, I know. Did I say that right? Was it clear? Hey, what's going on, Navy?
Can you hear us, Navy?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry. I had so what happened was I had two sets of headphones like right next to each other. My phone decided to connect to both of them at the same time.
Fine.
So I had to go fix all that fun stuff. How y'all doing, man?
All right. How are you doing?
Oh, can't complain. Even if I did, no one would listen.
I feel you on that one.
Yeah, nobody really cares, do they?
Nope.
They really don't. John is too low, bro, to get the gist of it. No, he really is. You can tell that this guy right here, John Felix, the guy that is showing with the American flag and we the people in the back, he's just kind of like reading the chat, just letting the dude talk, and he doesn't really get what's really going on here. Every once in a while, we see him talking to chat and things like this. It's like, bro, what's the point of having this discussion if you're not going to have the discussion, or if it's too over your head sort of thing?
Yeah, he doesn't get it. Every time I see John, I think he just got done on a cruise at a public park restroom area. I don't know. The guy just creeps me out.
He just likes to fight with people. He just likes to get into arguments with people is all it is. He's mad because the cops irritated him back in 1987. And because of that, he's been on a tirade ever since then. He's like, who's telling fraud control? I've been doing this since the 90s.
Isn't that all how they get started?
Yeah.
Cop said a mean thing to him a long time ago. Now they're all butthurt about
it. Almost every frauditor has a story to tell with the police or the government in general, right? Every single one of them. And they call it their, I don't know, they call it their origin story sort of thing, right? It's like
Marvel supervillain.
they really are. A lot of them really are. And the one that, and some of them just think they're way bigger, like Chili. He thinks he's like the Magneto of fucking, or maybe like the Red Skull of auditors. Like,
don't you mean the Black Power Ranger of auditors?
No, the Green Ranger will be better.
Right? Well, you know that about him, right? That he's a failed Power Ranger.
He didn't even make it.
I heard about that. I did hear about that.
He didn't even make it into the pilot, did he?
No, he was going to, but he ended up having so much trouble. I think with his castmates that they kicked him out. They fired him.
Yeah.
Probably.
Wonder why.
Because there were females there, and he's a creepy motherfucker.
But I mean, think about it. It would have been perfect to see how his life turned out and how he is now. It would have been perfect for him to be a Power Ranger, because usually people, when they get into those type of shows, they have a failed life after. It would have been a perfect story. He'd have been a great Hollywood, affair or Inside Edition story, right? Like, what happened to the old Black Power Ranger?
It'd be like one of them child stars that goes horribly wrong when they get
exactly. Now, did you guys know that? I don't know if you guys are wrestling fans. Val Venus actually audits.
No, I don't watch wrestling. I don't know who that is.
Well, he was a wrestler. He didn't do very well, and then he turned to audit. I don't know if he's still doing it.
I've heard of him. I've heard of that guy that was a professional wrestler and then did that. But
I've heard of him too. I think Predator Troll did one on him.
Yeah, I did one on him too. He's not that interesting, honestly, but yeah, it was pretty hilarious.
I'd like to see Butterbean. I know who Butterbean is. I'd like to see him do audits.
Fucking Butterbean. Man, God, dude, I love watching that guy box. He was good.
He died.
Did he die?
I don't know. I think I heard he passed away or something. He got sick and passed away.
I mean, saw him recently. I'm not sure. I didn't read the article, but I saw that he was in the news cycle. All right, let's continue this.
Purported member of the news media must fall under one of the listed traditional news outlets in the general term entity. Second, it must be engaged in a regular business of news gathering and disseminating news and information to the public. And he says Liberty Champions fails the first part of that test. Therefore, it does not meet the statutory definition of news media. So at this point,
you can see the wheels are just not turning up here.
Is that Eli, good guy activism there?
It might be, yeah.
No, it's not Eli. Is it Eli? Or no, good guy activism is Davey, Creepy David.
Oh yeah, David.
Oh, the guy with the vampire teeth?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eli is what is Eli? I can't remember his channel name, but it's like
I don't cover him either.
Mr. He's like Mr. No, I can't remember his name, so no.
I think I've covered good guy a couple of times. Dude is just way too condescending.
They all are.
Some more than others. Him definitely more than others.
They basically looked at it and said, according to what the law says is news media, you don't meet that. In order to receive the dates of birth and
God, just look at this echo chamber. Another auditor. They just love their fucking echo chamber, don't they? They do not like dissent at all. Good Lord.
and other personal information of the employees in your public record request. Doesn't mean he's not news media or the ability to, a journalist.
No, wrong. Definitionally, he is not media, is what they're saying. They're not saying that he is not one. He can call himself one all he wants. According to the law, he is not media, is what is being said. They're not being truthful there, right? They just defined it by law that he doesn't meet the standards of being media. Therefore, by the law, he's not media.
Well, because I'm wondering about this because Luddite Neanderthal was talking about this earlier. What it is, when they consider you traditional media, you have more access to personal information in certain places than you do if you don't. So these guys can be considered semi-media, I guess, as far as their ability to record in public places and this, that, and the third on YouTube. But when they start requesting information, like personal information of people for quote unquote a story, if they're not traditional media as now been defined by the Washington Supreme Court, then they don't have the right to access certain personal information.
Yeah, in Washington, yeah, like if they, for him, he was able to get the public records, but he was only able to get what you and I could get if we went down to Washington. Right. Like anybody could get that's not, MSNBC or KYN TV or MTV or VH1 or whatever, because those are, they could get the information. But also, me or you would be more inclined, not saying you would or I would, we would be more inclined to get out that information. Like, well, who's going to sue me? VH1 and whatever, they're going to be more inclined to like, well, we have ethics and that sort of thing. Not saying you don't have ethics. I'm just saying they'd be more likely to keep it professional as opposed to me or you. So they give that sort of deal. So it makes sense. I get it. Let's continue.
Or anything like that. It's just for this particular piece of the law.
So just to summarize, there's in the Washington state law in 2007 and 2007, right? When YouTube wasn't really a thing.
Yep.
They define news media as basically having an LLC and having employees because the internet wasn't the main source of information at that point. So they defined it according to the times, so to speak.
Correct. So that's actually coming up here shortly. That's going to be, so I've actually got what they call it in 2007.
Okay.
And you'll find that he doesn't apply in that design or that definition. Mm-hmm. But under the doctrine, the word entity must be interpreted to embrace something that is similar in nature to the specific types of traditional news outlets listed in the statute. So the statute actually lists the types of news outlets. So under the plain meaning of the statute, the word entity cannot be construed to include an individual. An entity is like a company and not an individual.
No, again, you can see how nuanced their definition of it is. And it fit for 2007. You can see how it doesn't fit for 2024. It's just, it's not broad. It's too constricting. It's not broad enough, especially with how, a lot of news sources are now online.
Yeah, all the big news stations have YouTube channels, Fox and CNN and all. I mean, they all got them.
And doesn't it piss you off if they can get away with a lot more than you or I could? It pisses me off. I hate them. Like, you motherfucker. Y'all wouldn't get in trouble for what I would get in trouble for. You motherfuckers.
Yeah. Try taking a video from The Guardian and playing it with commentary on your channel. It'll get struck so fast, your head will spin.
Yeah, I try not to. If I do cover a media story, usually it'll be a local one. Somewhere else.
You do local news. Local news is cool. The big ones, they don't like you copying their stuff.
A trick that I see other content players do, if you do that, speed up the playback. Play it at 1.5 times, and then say something every 20 seconds, and you might be all right. I don't want to promise you'll be all right, but I do know that a lot of the bigger channels that do that, they play the video that they're showing faster. They try and distort it a little bit. Yeah. Just a little pro tip, I guess, for them, because it works for them. But it could be, again, because they're bigger than us. We're small, so they're like, what? You don't have 1 million subscribers? Fuck you.
this guy is an individual and is not a company. So right away they say, well, it's not the same thing. So then the court proceeded to blame it on the legislature. The court basically said, and I'll get to the opinion and the dissenting opinion later on, but the court basically said that we have to follow to the letter of the law what the legislature has put out. So the legislature enacted the current statutory definition of news media in 2007. And that statute has never been amended since. So in 2007, the world was literally a different place. So in 2007, it was unlikely the legislature could foresee how social media would advance and become an instrumental part of our daily lives as social media developed.
This is really funny. Like, no. First of all, I before I say the statement, I'm pro gun, but it's just interesting how you hear people saying they couldn't have known, right? But then you hear gun owners saying, "Well, it doesn't matter if they couldn't know." It's just, I just find these are the same people. It's just funny to see how they're trying to use that they didn't know thing for this, but then it doesn't matter for gun rights. I'm just like, do you realize like it's the same concept, but you're okay with it here, but you're not okay with it there. Again, I'm okay with gun rights. I'm not saying you shouldn't have your guns. Everyone should have their guns if they want a fucking gun. But it's just, I find it comical that they're,
Well, so I'm a big Second Amendment guy, right? Big gun guy. And the thing is, a lot of those guys that say that don't realize and haven't studied the kind of guns they had back then.
Exactly.
In the 18th century, they had automatic weapons, right? There were rifles that were automatic. The problem was they were so expensive, no one could afford them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so, and if you can get authorization, I mean, who was it? God, Jefferson? It wasn't Jefferson. It was some. I can't remember who it was. But there was a guy who had a ship, and he asked and said, "Hey, under the Second Amendment, can I have a cannon?" He's like, "Yeah." Because you get to think about it for defensive purposes, right? For defensive purposes.
You can still have one if you get a federal firearms license.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you can get. It's just, you got to go through the bureaucracy and shit to get it.
Yeah, they're not easy to get.
And then don't get caught using it for
nefarious purposes.
Don't get caught using it, because then you'll ruin it for everyone.
Like, I can't put landmines on my own property. Come on, man.
I know, like, it's my property.
I put the sign up.
All right. It's not my fault they didn't believe me.
They made barbed wire for.
So has a new cycle of news. So they've admitted that with social media, it can absolutely be a function of the news, but by their definition, their old definition, it doesn't meet that.
So in 2021, the Supreme Court of Washington had to go by the 2007 definition of media.
Yep. And blame the legislature because they can't codify it any differently. They have to use the words legislature, and the legislature never updated it to be more current.
God, has there been a non-auditor comment yet? I don't think there has. I don't even know this dude. Big man, I never even heard of this fuck stick.
Yeah, I've heard of him. He's an idiot. It's Wolverine.
Yeah, I've heard of him. That's who it is? Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Oh, he changed his name?
The biggest idiot on YouTube.
Yeah, he's a fucking idiot.
So you're stuck in 2007 from that. And it went on to say the legislature, not the court, is responsible for enacting statutes, and the court is bound by the statute's unambiguous language. In short, the court decided that the person can't be an entity. For the purposes of the definition of news media, an entity must be a separate legal identity from the person doing the news reporting. So that's why he didn't qualify in that stance of it. And it goes, I mean, I'm not going to read all of it.
But the only thing he didn't qualify, he qualified for all public records except detailed birthdays and personal information that they were willing to give to an entity because they trusted the entity to redact all that stuff.
Correct.
Whereas they didn't trust an individual to.
Not necessarily. He doesn't qualify for. If anybody has done a public record request, knows that you don't get everything you want all the time. They will deny you. You can't be denied. It's not a guarantee you're going to get what you want. And sometimes they'll even fight it, and you have to fight for it, especially when it comes to body cam footage. For some reason, they're really reluctant on releasing those, even redacted. I think it's a bad look, but it is what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, you don't get. I saw a story where somebody was trying to get the it might have been a conspiracy story, but they were trying to get the records from what was it? One of those fucking really big operations they had back in the day, MK Ultra. They were trying to request all papers that relate to MK Ultra, and apparently they were fighting that for a really fucking long time.
Oh yeah. I think didn't somebody had to declassify them. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't just the Freedom of Information that got it. I think someone in the government had to go ahead and declassify all of it. I couldn't remember it. And it wasn't Obama. I remember who it was.
Maybe it wasn't Junior, was it?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know either, but I just remember hearing about that. It's like, so you don't get everything you want. And I don't believe that auditors like to tell their people that. So they think that they can just go and get everything. They don't like to give all the information. They don't like to do the same thing that they're accusing Auditor Troll of doing. They're accusing him of not giving all the pertinent information. Well, if that is true, then you guys are doing the exact same thing. So, I mean, it's a pot calling the kettle black. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, and I love it how they sit there and accuse the cops of editing their body cam footage.
Right?
The auditors are the biggest editors of video in the world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just ridiculous.
Redact that stuff.
Correct. And
nothing to do with the defining who's media and who's not.
Right. And it comes down to the news media that comes from this. It comes from what's called the Shield Law. And the Shield Law is what protects these journalists from being, like search orders to find their sources and stuff like that. So part of the Shield Law prohibits the government from issuing, like subpoenas and stuff like that to force a journalist to give up their information. And so because the Shield Law, part of it, the reason why I think they have this separated out like that is if everybody in the public is press, which we are under the First Amendment, then the Shield Law would literally protect every single person that is press. So they have to define somewhere, where's that line drawn where we're talking about a journalist's confidential source information and the criminal who just doesn't want to turn his drug dealer friend, right? Yeah. So there's got to be, you can't just go in there and say, well, everybody is a confidential source, or everybody is a journalist, or everybody is media. So that's why they broke this up reasonably so under the Shield Law. And then it continues on.
I don't think it is that heavy for back in 2007, because the reason I say that is because maybe you can. I agree with 2020 that you can do something like that, but back then there was no internet to put media on, so your average everyday American wasn't trying to get this type of information. They weren't trying to go around saying they were press, right? They were shooting their home videos. They were doing things like this. But I think he's looking at it through the lens of today, trying to get an explanation. There's no way they could have known that this was going to happen with the internet was going to explode the way it did. I think he's putting too much on it. I think, yeah, in my opinion, I think he's putting too much on it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think he just likes to hear himself talk, like you said.
I think it's ingenious. It's an ingenuous argument, period. Because the only reason why they even claim press, and you'll see this when they do this, when they're like, "Oh, I'm the press," and you see the look in the people's faces, going, "Oh, okay, well," because to them, press is something like like you see legitimate news, even if it's on YouTube. You have legitimate news channels that are not quote unquote mainstream news, right?
Yeah.
And And then they go, okay, well, maybe this person has a legit reason for being here. And they know that when they say these things because they're doing it just so they can stay around longer.
Mhm.
And it's not because they're actually going to, because honestly, I'll tell you the truth, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but the only person I've seen out of all these guys that actually publishes things on a regular basis, actual like stories, is FPS. Now, I can't stand him and I can't stand his ass, but he actually says, okay, we're going to talk about this event that happened and go over it and I'm going to discuss it, right? Whereas all these other guys just want to go out there and get arrested, right? And put it on
He's just
YouTube.
copying Chili style is what he's doing
Yeah,
now.
yeah, pretty much.
That's all he's doing, just for the buck.
But it's like I said, if there had to be a closer one, he would be the one doing it. But I can't stand this motherfucker, and he's also doing it just for the money. Just listen to him talk. All he cares about is views and shit like that. So
Right.
it's hilarious.
Hey Kenny, I gotta get out of here.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming up.
Good stopping by. I'll talk to you again sometime soon.
All right.
Later, brother.
Wait.
See you later, Navy.
You know, all about the shield law, and there's a bunch of other legal garbage in here. Like I said, it's pretty boring and goes through, but ultimately it comes down.
You see, like, oh, please don't go that far. I can't take it anymore. Jeez.
Oh, his brain's done. I can see it smoking.
You really can.
Down to then the Supreme Court has to rule, and the Washington State Supreme Court had to rule on the case and figure out, you know, and it's going to be a precedential case in this case because it wasn't a precedent before, so they have to decide.
I literally joined a German daily news, so I'm not worried about all that BS. I really don't care who thinks I'm news or who. I can get in their private email. No, yeah, sure you can, buddy. Good. All right. Next time that there's a State of the Union, go ahead and get into there. Any private event, right? Go for it.
And the one thing I love is that they ask, well, where's your press credentials or whatever, right? And well, who issues those? Whoever's holding the press conference issues those, because the only people that are allowed in there, we watched this happen, right? Like when Trump was president, he kicked out CNN. They said, no, we don't want you here. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And
they're not just because you're news, that does not mean you are invited in. You can't just they have a list of who they allow and who they don't. CPAC, you know, they don't usually have a lot of Democratic news sources in. They don't. Yeah. I don't even think a lot of them try to go in. Same goes for Democratic conventions. They don't let a lot of the other side in. It's just because you're media doesn't mean you can go wherever the hell you want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you're with a big company or not, it does not work that way. Shiny camera does not give you shiny rates.
Well, it really irritates me because because of the corruption in mainstream media and mainstream news and all this kind of stuff. I actually champion like smaller organizations, like when Breitbart first started out with Breitbart himself and what he did and the stories that they broke and things like that. Like I champion that. That is the First Amendment. What these guys are doing is a farce and it's just a perversion of it.
It is. It's a way for them to get back at who wronged them or who perceived wrong, and
for them to make money without having to work. Yeah. Honestly,
I'm all for ensuring that police are doing the right thing. Like go to traffic stops, film them, ensure that people are not getting hurt. Government officials like tax places, make sure they're doing the right thing. But post offices, DMVs, places like this, like you can be doing so much more with the audience you have. And a lot of them have large audiences that they could really spread the word and get some change and get some justice, but they refuse to even acknowledge a bigger role that they could be playing. And not only that, that would legitimize auditing. But they don't want to legitimize it.
No, because they don't want to be an Ironton auditor, right?
No, they don't. They don't.
So in the case and the opinion of the High Court, Green was actually suing the Pierce County, I think, Sheriff's Department for the records. And Thurston County Superior Court judge found that Green in his YouTube channel counts as news media. So he actually won when he took it to court. But then the police appealed that to the Supreme Court of Washington State. So the local court said, yeah, you are news media and you should have.
I don't even understand why he needs to explain this. there's an obvious reason why it went up to the Supreme Court. We all know how that works, right? It's not like he needed to explain this. Well, maybe John Felix needed to know, but I think most people know how that works. It doesn't start out. Someone says something, they appeal it, then that one, then they appeal it, and I mean, it's very well this could get appealed to the Supreme Court. It would be interesting if they did. It would be in their movement's best interest to appeal it up to the Supreme Court of the United States, but I don't know if they will.
Well, they'd have to grift awful damn hard on some GoFundMe's to get it all the way to the Supreme Court.
They would absolutely.
You got to go through all the federal, like lower federal courts first, and then get it. You know,
Yeah.
you'd have to basically go to the point where they would deny you all the way up, right? And if one of the federal courts rules in your favor, then you're done, right?
Yeah, I could even see a lower federal court ruling in their favor, honestly.
Yeah, depending on where they are. Yeah.
Of this, and then when they appealed it, they took it to the Supreme Court, and the High Court reversed the decision of the lower court and said, we conclude that the statutory definition of news media requires an entity with a legal identity separate from the individual, and wrote in a majority 7-2 opinion Thursday. Here Brian Green has not provided, here Brian Green has not proved that he or the Liberties Champion YouTube channel meets the statutory definition of news media, and thus is not entitled to the exempted records. So under their Public Record Acts, he's not entitled to it. Now, under the First Amendment and the freedom of press, that goes federal. That's much higher. That stomps all over this decision. So then it goes on. The opinion also acknowledged that the media landscape has drastically changed since the state's defining of the news media written 14 years ago. The manner in which we access news today is vastly different than how we did in 2007, and this statutory definition
this video is like 2 or 3 weeks old. It was a live stream.
May not comport with the current intersection of social media and the news. However, the legislature, not the court, is responsible for enacting statutes, and the court is bound by the statute's unambiguous language. So they're saying their hands are tied. They have to uphold what the statute says. It's very clear in what it says, and therefore he's found not to be quote unquote news media for the purposes of a public records request.
And only for that.
Pretty much.
I mean, no, because if there's a statute that defines what news media is, they're basing their decision off of this statute. So therefore, in any case that you need a definition of news media, they're going to rely on that definition. I mean, they have to. They just said it right there in their opinion. So therefore, if they were to go into a post office and they were to film and they use the excuse I'm media, they can say, well, according to the statute of the Washington state, you are not media, therefore get the fuck out.
Well,
and if it went to court, they would
already have
lose.
issues. I don't understand. I don't understand how Poster 7 isn't, like, people don't understand how plainly worded Poster 7 is and what it means, because it literally means, like, the whole reason they had that, what was the case? Is it U.S. versus Kokinda? Was the one where the guy was trying to promote, it had to do with like political campaigning or whatever outside.
Yeah, he was out on the sidewalk. Yeah, it was defined. They defined it as a what was it, non-traditional public forum.
Yeah, non-traditional
limited or whatever it was. Yeah.
And that's exactly, because if you go and read Poster 7, and and it's so funny because they read this all the time. I think the only person that had offered a stupid other explanation was Texas gal Audits or whatever, and she was arguing about the placement of a comma. And but the thing is, what it says is that for news purposes, when they're having public meetings, like, it literally says that this first sentence is to define for public meetings that are being held in the post office. And then it says, okay, for all other any other recordings or whatever is left up to these people. Like, it's literally what it says.
Yeah.
And so they don't even need to argue this, what is media, because it doesn't matter. CNN can walk in there, stand back there in the corner and film, and the postmaster has the right to come and say, you got to leave.
Yeah, that and post offices are really no longer used for public meetings anymore anyway. That was like back in the day. I mean, I can't remember the last time they used a post office for a public meeting of any kind.
I can't either.
It's been a really long time. So Poster 7 is really outdated in that sense. So, you know.
Yeah, they can just take that first part out and just leave the last couple sentences.
Yeah.
It says that if
absolutely.
you're in there recording or doing whatever, and so and so and so and so and so and so asks you to leave, or there's a sign, you have to go.
See, now I'm curious. Now I'm gonna have to look up when the last public meeting. Maybe in small towns they still do. Maybe I could see that if the post office is big enough, but
Yeah,
not in
it's
small.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah, but not in big towns. No.
There's other places in other pieces of laws that use the same definition of news media, but not as the not for like actually being considered news media outside the sources of that very specific piece of the law.
He said a whole lot without saying a whole lot. Well, they use it for, they use this definition with other laws, which I stated because they defined it, but they don't use it when it's outside that law. Well, no shit. It's a legal fucking definition. You don't use a legal definition. You don't use a legal definition of a word in normal everyday talk because it's gonna be different. That's just the way they do it. They do that for a reason, right? It's just Well, who are you trying to confuse, or who are you trying to? It's almost like they're trying to convince themselves when they say shit like that. It's like you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to say that at all.
And it's another one of those where they're trying to make themselves sound smarter than like actual people that understand the law and the Constitution. That somehow their perusal for a couple of weeks of online whatever that they found, they had this amazing understanding versus the constitutional law professor who's been doing this for 30 years, right?
Yeah. To be fair, he isn't media according to the law in Washington. That you have to be specific with that, because you can't just say he's not media, because media can be in today's age, media can be defined as online media, which we have. But according to the law, which is outdated, admittedly, he is not, until they change it, which I think they're going to need a court order or something to change it. I don't see them changing it on their own. They don't like to change laws. So it might be on the books for a while, honestly.
Yeah.
So there are other places where it could be. In fact, the Public Record Act, it says, was created to inform people of Washington and the actions of the state agencies and to ensure access to the records of the same. It requires state agencies to produce records at the public's request. Certain records related to public employment, including photographs and the month and year of birth of people who work at the state criminal agencies, are exempt from public records. However, members of the, quote, news media are entitled to those exempt records. So this is the part that he was not getting. He was just not getting two pieces. And I think he eventually came out and said, I don't even need those pieces. I just felt I was entitled to them. So that's what he was fighting for.
Right.
How was that not clear? I mean, why did we need the explanation of that? Obviously, he wanted the information he thought he was entitled. God, guy. Okay, enough. I don't like people that treat their audience like they're idiots. It's just like your audience might be smarter than you. Shut up.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Maybe not his audience, but
yeah.
I'm sure there are people in there that know the law, and they know there are a few that will get on their favorite auditors when they do stupid shit. There are a few, not all of them, but there are some.
And
so
the judge's opinions.
Well, that's the 7-2 decision. That's the 7 side saying that. So even though they're upholding it, they're saying it's not our fault. Basically, they're like sorry they have to do this, which
Yeah.
is, you know, so they recognize that.
Let's make ourselves feel better that he's right, but technically he's wrong. No, he's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Technically, yeah, the definition has changed technically, but technically he's still right. He's right, and technically he's right. So I mean, I don't know what you want more. It's like if I don't think this would ever happen, but in some cities, adultery is actually against the law.
Yeah.
In those cities, you can get arrested for it.
Yep.
And technically, they wouldn't be breaking the law because it still was on the books. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if it gets challenged, it will get changed. But again, I highly doubt they're gonna. This guy might just be done with it because I mean, this was like fuck 2021. It was 2017 when he did it. He's still trying to get him in 2021. I mean, he probably spent a shitload of money right away just to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, good God, I can imagine what he spent on that case. Shit. But then again, I think it was the police that challenged it the first time because the lower court said no. Then he challenged it, and then after that, it went to the Supreme Court. We'll see. I'll be interested to find out
the First Amendment aspect of it, and they have no choice, and that's what they wrote. So then, of course, with this lawsuit, like anything else, when you get a case like this, you get amicus briefs, which are, people, friends of the court, that send in their thoughts on the subject. So
they're about to get real happy here in a minute. I remember this part. Listen up.
A lot of, like, when you have a major suit going on, somebody like the Institute for Justice may send an amicus brief to a Supreme Court or a circuit court in support of maybe a defendant and explaining why it's important for them to rule in the favor to support the first or second or third or whatever amendment that they're going after. So in this case, the First Amendment Clinic at Duke Law School sent an amicus brief and argued the definition of news media must be construed broadly so as to not infringe on the First Amendment freedom of the press. So they're recommending to the court to side on the defendant or the.
Duke University said they should do it, which I mean, honestly, I believe I'm with them on that. I'm with them that it should be changed, but until it is, I'm going to be happy that this is happening.
It's just funny. Yeah, I love it. Well, it's only because these guys are liars.
Yeah,
they're not having this argument because they are legit trying to.
It's not in good faith. No, it's not in good faith at all. That's what makes this really funny because it's like you see them cringe, like they don't want to give up any ground. Like, how dare they be right about something? Well, it's not our fault that the laws aren't changing. I mean, isn't this the whole reason you guys supposedly quote unquote do this to change these laws? Well, the best way you're going to do is take this bitch on up to the federal level. You're good.
Have fun with that.
And exactly.
Do it pro se, please. Please
do
it pro se because I love those videos.
Right, and you'll probably win, but no, if they do pro se, they might not win. I don't think they'd win if they went pro se. They might want to get a real lawyer.
The Green, the guy who's suing, side on his side for allowing for the fact that it's going to infringe on his First Amendment right to free press. And it says, however, there's no freedom of press implications if there is no news media. Further, there is no First Amendment right to the public information. You don't have a First Amendment right to get public information. And then it continues on. And it says, the public's right to access information generated or controlled by the government, nor do they guarantee press any basic right of access superior to that of the public generally. So typically the press, you always hear people say, anywhere the public can go, the press can go. That's because they have the same rights as the public. Being the press, you can have the same exact rights as the public.
Because the public is the press.
And vice versa. So
yeah,
press is just public.
No. Because if that were true, then anybody, regardless of saying that they are media, would be able to go in and film post offices, but they can't. You guys specifically say you're media, so you can get away with it. So therefore, Joe Blow will not be able to go and do it unless he claims he's media and trick people into thinking he can do it. So no, your argument is ridiculous.
Public. So
Yeah.
so that's why they can generally have access. Any place the public is allowed, the press is allowed, and vice versa. So
Well,
that's what.
Go ahead.
Well, that's what they're saying. Otherwise, except for that, they've cut out this little piece and said, well, in this case, if you apply for public records access, if you're what we consider news media, we'll supply additional information we wouldn't normally give the public. So that was from the First Amendment clinic at Duke Law School that was sending an amicus brief in support of Green, the guy who was suing. So then there was a dissenting opinion. So two of the justices didn't agree with this opinion. And they're like, well, we're going to write why we disagree with it, right? So there was, here, the important part says, thus, Liberty Champions, Green's YouTube channel, cannot be precluded from counting as news media simply because it lacks a separate legal identity from Green. And it says Liberty Champion also meets the second requirement, which the majority does not reach. It is engaged in regular business of news gathering and disseminating news or information. I therefore would affirm the trial court and remand for further proceedings in line with this opinion. The core of the statutory interpretation is plain language analysis to qualify as an entity. The thing in question must have a separate legal identity from an individual or must be an organization. This becomes clear when you look at the other terms of the statute, such as newspaper. So in the statute, it uses the generic term newspaper. And it says, while major newspapers like Seattle Times and the New York Times are, of course, organizations with separate legal entities, nothing in our statutory language requires it. And then it goes on and says, this does not suggest that the newspaper itself must have or be run by an organization to be considered the term newspaper, thus encompassing not only the New York Times, but also the high school newspaper and your community newspaper and the like. So if they're going to use it.
But the high school newspaper is run by the high school, so that would still count. The high school, the high school newspaper isn't run by the reporters or the editor or anything. It's run by the high school, so it would.
They're gonna have a teacher. They're gonna have like the journalism teacher or whatever teacher that is employed by the school. Right? As an employee, that's gonna be the end all be all on what goes in the paper, right?
So this judge isn't even making any sense. Like, what? No, that doesn't fit. What are you fucking talking about?
Generic term like newspaper and somehow define that to be part of a news media. How does that apply to the high school newspaper that may publish something that has their own?
Of course, John is agreeing that that's right. Oh, we got him. No,
he looks like he's thinking about nachos.
I do want some nachos.
It does sound good, doesn't it?
It really does.
Individual sources. It's certainly not an entity. It's certainly not a for-profit entity, but yet it's still a newspaper. Or is it not a newspaper?
It is.
So she's saying that
it is a direct correlation. It's a direct correlation to the school.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's for profit or it's not for profit. There is another entity involved. The entity being the school.
It's kind of like if I have a business. If I have a business where I get paid, it's a profit business, right? And I get paid, but all I hire are interns that I don't pay. Right?
Yeah.
That's the school newspaper. The school newspaper is basically using interns for credit, college credit, or class credit or whatever, but they're not getting paid. But they're still technically employees
Yeah.
of the newspaper.
Yeah, and it didn't, and the statute didn't define it as having employees. It just handled it being it needs to be overseen by an entity like an
Yeah.
LSC or something like that. So it doesn't even matter if you have employees or whatnot. You could incorporate something and be the only fucking employee, and you're golden.
Yeah.
At least according to the law.
Yeah, what it says here. Yeah. So all they had to do to solve this whole thing is create an LLC and be like, I'm an entity.
Exactly, and you're golden. You'd be able to get it.
Yeah.
But then he'd get the shit suit out of him by releasing all that information, and that would be hilarious.
Well, and that's because that comes down to the aspect of also what is it? What is it? The code? Is it 830 where it's a platform versus publisher, and that's the reason why you can sue like the New York Times, right?
Yeah.
Sue like the phone company, right?
Right.
And that's the biggest problem that has come down with YouTube and Twitter and all these like social media platforms, is because they have all the protections of the 830, right? But they have none of the liability because they sit on this. I'm a publisher and a platform at the same time. So I'm allowed to control what happens on the social media thing itself. Like I can ban people or demonetize or whatever. However, though, if I allow something to go on that's considered, hateful or whatever, no one can sue me because I'm a platform. That's been an argument against YouTube for a long time because they sit the fence. They ride the fence on that.
They do. I think you remember the whole COPPA argument with YouTube where they had to shit out all that money for all the COPPA violations.
I heard talking about it earlier. Yep.
Yeah. That was, so you heard us. Yeah, but YouTube is YouTube, it is what it is. And I don't know if, and then another argument kind of like in like a smaller sense. Have you heard of the Silk Road?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So the guy got, people were thinking he's innocent. And I like saying, well, he wasn't providing it. So his lawyers attempted to use that same argument that he was a platform of it, and it didn't work very well. Though it's working for YouTube, maybe because I don't know why it's working for him and not for them. I'm assuming because of the illegal activity, maybe.
Yeah, it was like completely illegal activity. Yeah,
it really was. Yeah, it was completely illegal.
Well, I think because they were also using it to subvert law enforcement, right?
True.
And so they were actually using it to subvert law enforcement by the way that they were packaging stuff and the way they were sending it out, allowing these things to, basically skirt the law and do illegal things. So yeah.
Actually saw a YouTube short where some fucking millennial found out about him and said, this guy ran a YouTube. I mean, he ran a platform and he's in prison for life. Like, yeah, do you know what he was doing on there, you stupid fuck? It's like, are you fucking dumb? It's like, God. I wait for the kids. I really do.
I do. I also weep, yes.
If you're going to call it just news media, why is not a newspaper so defined? Which I think is a very valid argument on her part. Mm-hmm. And then she goes on and says that Liberty Champion easily meets the definition of news based on the record. So looks at the articles and says such items are similar to a recent article in an online edition of Seattle Times. So she went and found an article on Seattle Times that matches similarly an article that he published in his YouTube channel. And it says, which dealt with the reported dangerous behavior of Pierce County Sheriff. As this comparison makes clear, Liberty's champion is news. So two of the justices basically came out and said, he is news. He does qualify. You can't hold it to that very specific definition. But since the 7,
I think that the dissenting judges are using, again, 2024 or 2021 when it was done logic with the statute, but you can't do that. You can't add on to a statute. You have to take the statute for what it is. I think they're using the logic that YouTube channels and online are so prevalent,
That's where you get into the aspect of the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. Right?
Agreed.
And that can be like, I can understand why the dissenting judges dissented. They can say, well, now based on nowadays, on the spirit of the idea of what media was, because it has changed, and because all these like mainstream news outlets and stuff are publishing things online in a similar fashion, that we can by the spirit of the law see it this way. And so I think, man, it's just hard. And that's what's so crazy about it. People get so mad at the judges and stuff. And I'm like, bro, you sit and do it. You sit there and sit there, and you can look at it and say, okay, if it says it can only be this and nothing but this, it can never change, it's only this. Even the Constitution doesn't do that, right? They made the Constitution broad for a reason.
They did. And just like a good example is just recently, the Supreme Court allowed Trump to be put back on the ballot in these states. And, I know a lot of people were unhappy about it, but I mean, when you hear their explanation, like, well, no, it says Congress is the only one that can do this. Like, okay, well, if that's what it says, that's what it fucking says. You can't be mad about that.
I have a couple problems with it, right? Because not only that, I can understand the argument being that if Trump had been found guilty of insurrection, right?
Yeah.
If he had been taken to court, actually charged with it, and then found guilty of it, not just accused, he's not even accused of it. Right?
No, he's not.
But even if he was accused of it, you cannot use that as a disqualifying factor under the 14th Amendment. They have to be found guilty of insurrection. The guys that they used the 14th Amendment on were guys that had fought for the South. Yes. It was known that they had fought for the South in an uprising against the Union, and they were guilty of insurrection based on their own actions. That was provable beyond a shadow of doubt, right? Mm-hmm. That is not the case here. And on top of that, it's just BS. But this is the part where the federal government has to come in and tell the states, this is one of the things that does not qualify under the 10th Amendment, that the federal government has control of federal elections. You can't be taking people off federal elections and denying people the right to choose because you're mad that this guy hurt your fees.
No, I agree. I totally agree because that's essentially what they wanted done, and they did the right thing in there. Though I do think that they went a little too far in their decision. I agree that he should have been put back on, but to just take it out of the state's hands altogether the way they did.
Well, it's a federal election. That's the problem, right? Is that it is a federal election, and the thing is that there has to be an aspect where the federal government can be hemmed up by the states, right, on certain things that they impose upon the states, right? But there's also certain things, and this is a really, it's a good argument to talk about because in a similar aspect, it's what's happening in my home state of Texas right now with the border. And the argument coming from Texas is not that the federal government doesn't have the authority or the responsibility to protect the border. It's
they're not doing it. Yeah.
Right. They're refusing to do their job, and we're getting hurt because of it. So we're going to do it.
I agree. No, and I agree, but at the same time, unfortunately, because of just the divisiveness inside the government right now, and I get the feeling that Biden is only talking about it now because of the election, but conservatives are looking bad because they're not doing anything about it now when Biden is willing to. And I get you guys don't, and not you guys personally, but people don't want to do that and help him. I get it. But I mean, you can't say that he's not doing it when he's willing to do it now. I mean,
okay. So, well, the problem is, and I understand that point of view. If what he was doing and what this bill that they're trying to get passed, that he's claiming that, we're just trying to, stop him on it, is that you got to look at what's in the bill, right? You got to look at what it actually does. It's not, you can't just say, well, I put forth a bill, you should support me. No, I mean, does this thing have any teeth? Is it doing anything to actually quell illegal immigration coming across the border? Or is it just more fluff and BS that includes a bunch of money going to Ukraine, right? And because they do this all the time with the writers and things on bills. I remember like a long time ago, after Hurricane Sandy, right? They were trying to pass a relief act to go and help out like New Jersey and things of that nature. Yeah. And a bunch of the Republicans said no, because if you read the writers on the bill, there was a bunch of extra money thrown in there for BS stuff. And what we said was make a bill that only applies to what the main point of the bill. Stop clickbaiting people.
They do that a lot. They do that a lot. They really do. I agree with that. But I mean, no, I do. I agree with that. And they should just allow it to just be.
And remember, you're okay. This is weird. I was talking to my mom earlier about this because we were having this discussion watching the news. The governor or the attorney general of what was it, Colorado, right? came out and was basically saying, well, I guess we just have to let the people vote. Yeah, it's called a democracy for a reason.
Yeah, agreed.
You crazy person. But do they act like they're smarter than everybody else? They know better than everybody. If we just let the dumb peasants vote, then they're just going to do what we want.
I personally I kind of on the low want Trump to win only because I want to actually put him on the spot and say, all right, look, motherfucker, you wanted it, you got it. Now fucking deal with Russia. You said you can handle it in one day, fucking handle it. Yep. He's bullshitting. He can't handle it in one day. I think he knows it. There's no way he doesn't know it.
It'll be interesting to see what he does and what he does.
That's how I feel. That's why I want him to win, just to see what he does.
A lot of that's going to have to determine, though, what happens in Congress, right? So, because we have congressional elections coming up for senators, and the thing is, a president, number one, was not meant to and can't do anything, all on their own all the time. That's why these, executive orders can be rescinded by anybody, right, into the next president that comes across, because they can't make laws, right? The executive branch cannot make laws.
Well, except when it comes to the military, I mean, he has sole control over the military. He can deal with Russia.
He can't declare war.
You say he can't declare a war, but the last war that was declared by Congress was World War II.
Right, and if you look at Korea. Look at Korea. What was Korea considered?
War, wasn't it?
It was a conflict. It was a conflict which is defined as like a peacekeeping conflict, right?
Why the fuck is it called the Korean War?
Well, because we just call it that, right? It's not calling it the beer virus vaccine a vaccine. It's not a vaccine by definition, but we call it that because that's the popular nomenclature. But if you go back and look at Korea, I know this because the Korean War, the quote unquote Korean conflict hasn't ended. It was just a ceasefire, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. So it's still technically active right now, but it was a peacekeeping conflict that happened, right? It was the same thing with Vietnam. It was the same thing with other aspects where they hadn't actually declared war, but they grant extra powers to the president, which is what happened in Iraq and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For them to go over and quell a conflict. Okay. And so he doesn't have the right to declare war. However, there are aspects where Congress and others can give, extra powers that can be taken away later on. Right. And like the wartime powers and things like that, even though it's not technically a war, but if they do declare war, then there's extra powers that he gets or whatever. And it's convoluted as all get out. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, and that's the way it is. But that's one of the fights, but that's what's healthy about this democracy is that we're having this fight between the states and the federal government and back and forth. Because if it was just quashed and the federal government just did whatever they wanted, then this Constitution might as well be thrown out, right?
Agreed.
So I'm happy to see this happening.
No, I am too, but I think sometimes it goes a little too far in certain issues and things like that.
That's I mean, especially when you start bringing in like social issues versus actual like this is what is good for the country itself. Then it's going to go too far because you start getting into feelings. And when you get into feelings, there is no right answer. Right. This is true.
All right, we might be boring people here with this. So let's continue watching the video.
I'll get off my soapbox.
It's all good. Well, I started it, so I can't really blame you.
They lost, right? That's why it's a dissenting opinion.
And didn't one of the dissenting opinions say something specifically about the Constitution and First Amendment?
So then it goes on, and she writes, perhaps most importantly, however, this interpretation follows the intent of the legislature. If the legislature wanted to prevent the release of this information, it is well within the power to draft a bill that would do so. But the law as it stands requires the release of this information due Liberty Champion's status as news media. So the justice had dissented, and she said also, there's two of them that dissented, right? I don't know, it doesn't identify which one specifically said this, but one of the two that dissented did. And it says, from the perspective of the First Amendment, distinguishing different news media based on size or organizational structure or status as a legal entity is disfavored, if not outright impermissible. And then it said, Whitener, so it was Whitener, the same one, wrote, to hold that the state law provides otherwise, as a majority does, risk construing the statute in an unconditional or unconstitutional manner, a result we must avoid. So she's saying that if you deem this person not news media for any of this type of stuff, that you're going against the Constitution of the United States and in an unfavorable manner, and we need to avoid doing that. And so in her conclusion, she wrote, I would hold that Liberty Champion is news media.
Again, she's doing it with hindsight, right? I agree with her, but I mean, this is why we need fucking robots as judges, right? Just straight up, fucking, this is what the law says. This is how we're going to fucking define it. Fucking leave feelings out of it. Leave politics out of it. Just fucking, this is what it says. This is how it's defined. Boom, done. No feelings involved. Things like that, right? Like it would just be, it would make things, it would be good, but it would suck in a way too, especially if they didn't go your way. But
yeah, because you'd be ushering in our robot overlords. But the thing is that the thing is, I love this though, because in these type of arguments and going back and forth, it's what keeps the democracy alive. And this kind of what I would do, then I would argue that, okay, the Supreme Court said this, and they basically said that they had to do this because they can't change a law, right? They are the judicial branch. They're not allowed to change the law. It's got to be legislative, right? So that is telling the people, now you, the people of Washington State, right? If you don't agree with this, or the fact that we have to use this, stipulation or whatever when we decide these cases, then you need to hit up your legislature and be like, hey, y'all need to change this law. Right. And that is the power of the people. You talk about we the people, then we the people need to get off their fat ass and go to the legislature and be like, we don't like this. We need to get it changed. And if you don't do it, you have no one but yourself to blame.
I agree. And as people that are covering this, Mr. Talk a Lot and our good buddy Brain Dead here, instead of trying to tell Frauditor Troll how he is wrong, even though he is not wrong, they've said a lot of words to help keep the fact that he was right. This is hilarious. What they should be saying is technically he is right, but that doesn't mean that just because he lost this case, not all laws are just. Not all laws will remain just in 10, 15 years. We need to get rid of things that are no longer valid and no longer the proper definition, right? From time changes. Like you said, they should be telling their people, if you're in Washington, go down and talk to your governor, your mayors. Let them know that this isn't right. We're in 2024. We can't go off a definition from 2007. Imagine if this definition was from 1964. It would be even worse. I mean, it's just, they really, every once in a while, need to go down the books of laws and be like, yeah, this is still valid. This is valid. This is valid. So we can get rid of some of these archaic laws and archaic definitions,
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Bubba, thanks for having me up, man. I got to run because I've got another engagement later on. I have a D&D game tonight. So,
oh, fun.
Yeah, I got to go eat some supper before I prepare for that. So, but thanks for having me up. It was a lot of fun. And next time you do this, if I'm around, I'll definitely jump up. This is awesome. Thank you.
Great. No problem. All right. So yeah, like he was saying, man, they are just not, there's so much more they could do with this audience that they're having. And the fact that this channel has so many auditors that are actually watching him, he could be giving them information and they could all be spreading this and getting real change done instead of just saying, oh, well, Frauditor Troll's wrong. He wasn't wrong. He's technically right. He is right. I mean, the courts even said he is right. Just, you might not agree. And I would agree that in 2024, you have a right not to agree. It doesn't change the fact at all.
Under the RCW, therefore satisfies the requirements of the RCW, entitled and agreeing to the documents and information he requested. I would therefore affirm the trial court's decision. So that's pretty much the opinions on both sides. and the dissenting opinion. And I think the dissenting opinion certainly gets it right.
Right,
But
maybe.
all of this is got to do with literally 2 pieces of information in a public records law, and not whether he is news media or not. They clearly, all of them, by their admissions of telling them that the state statute is behind, the legislature should fix this. We blame the legislature.
Be that as it may, they are the law is defining him as not being media. That the whatever reason they are doing that for doesn't change the fact that they are defined under law. He is not meeting the definition of media, whether it is not updated or it is updated. At this time, he is not. Yes, the court is letting people know that, yeah, well, we're doing this because of this reason. Maybe you guys should change it. Why not tell your audience that instead of just saying, well, you're saying a lot to say nothing. It's I just cannot stand disingenuous auditors. It's one of the worst things. I dislike misinformation. I sorely dislike misinformation.
And then the 2 dissenting ones that say, I don't care what the legislature says, I say they are. So everybody pretty much is rock solid on this guy is news media.
According to their definition, not according to the law. And that is what is at stake with what we are discussing here. Oh my God. They're using their feeling. They're doing the same thing they accuse the police and the public of doing. Is it feelings or is it law? Your feelings say he's wrong, you're right, but their law says you're wrong. Gee. How do they not see the irony in this? My goodness.
And it's obvious.
Well, it's obvious to somebody that understands what they are talking about in general. And the fraud guy, he
in general, if you take everything into account, sure, he lost, and sure, they're right, but next year, or maybe 5 years from now, well, we'll get the last laugh. You know what? That might be true, and if that is true, fantastic for you. But right here, right now in 2024, when this, or 2023, whenever Auditor Troll made that video, he was right. You were wrong. The fact cannot be changed. No.
He is oblivious to any of the facts. He doesn't read it. He cherry picks the little bullet points that he wants to put out there in his favor.
He's cherry picking what he wants to put out in his favor. I don't know, Adam. I don't know, bro. I mean, sounds like he was kind of cherry picking what he wanted to say in this by, this whole video. I mean, they've been talking for almost a half hour, and they've proven that he was right all along. How are they not cherry picking? This is ridiculous.
And he did it with a bunch of other stuff too. Like I said, I went through the first, half of the thing again today and took a bunch of notes on it. But the Supreme Court also,
that's what we're talking about.
This is the Supreme Court. I believe this one was, this is the United States Supreme Court. So what does the United States Supreme Court say about this? Because let's face it.
Whoa. The United States Supreme Court has not talked about this, to be clear to you all, and I'm sure you all are aware of this. So I don't think they're going that way. I hope they're not going that way. I don't know where they're going with this. I'm kind of scared to know where they're going with this. Okay, let's see.
The Washington Supreme Court is meaningless to 49 states. And in this case, if it goes above that their head, it's going to be meaningless to their state too. But the Supreme Court had noted, although it has been uncertain whether people who blog or use other social media are journalists entitled to the protection of media shield laws. So the media shield laws are, again, not being able to be forced to like give up your sources and stuff. They are protected by the free speech and free press clauses, neither of which differentiates between media businesses and non-professional speakers. This is further supported by the Supreme Court, which has refused to grant increased First Amendment protection to institutional media over other speakers.
Hey, Dave, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, Kenny? Good to see you, man.
Doing all right. How are you?
I wasn't aware you were doing this tonight, but I saw who you were talking about and decided to jump in here because that debate he had with Auditor Troll the other night, Auditor Troll pretty well dismantled him.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, there's no. He was right. He was absolutely utter. I didn't see the debate, but just from watching his arguments they're asinine. They don't make any sense, right? He spent all this time to conclude that Auditor Troll was right. I mean, he helped prove Auditor Troll in all of this, which is wild to me. But somehow they're saying that he was wrong. But it's wild.
Well, at the end of the day, too, Felix, how do you say his name? Felix or Felix?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Anyway, Mr. Felix he showed himself to be what he is. He's a sovereign citizen, pure and simple. He used all the sovereign citizen arguments, about, well, if no one was hurt, there wasn't a crime. The whole point of crime is to make sure people don't get hurt. It's exactly the opposite. It's make sure there aren't victims. And he seems, he doesn't understand that the state represents the people. Yeah. There are a lot of other things that he had, just one thing after another. This whole thing about the First Amendment guarantees his right to go in and audit whatever. I mean, granted, he's more reasonable than some of the others are, for sure. He's a lot more reasonable than the guy with the whisk. What's he calling himself now? He used to be Whisk Boy. Can't think of his name. Anyway, that guy, he is. I'll give Felix that. He's more reasonable than some of them, but he's still completely off because. His First Amendment rights do not give him the right to violate other people's rights. And that seems to be the frauditor code, is that as long as my rights are protected, the hell with everybody else. And it's really that part to me is that's one reason I'm so opposed to this First Amendment frauding business, is so frightening of what the implications are about that.
I hear what you're saying. I'm not necessarily against it. I'm more in the camp of I think it should be they need to police it themselves. They need to police themselves better. Like forget the DMVs. Let's get some stuff done that's going to help people. Let's not get stuff that's going to make yourself feel better.
I agree. I'm all for legitimate cop watching. The police need to be watched just like everybody else. But walking into a DMV like Afro Man or whatever his name, that the kid with the hair does, and just scream at government employees because he thinks he can, that accomplishes nothing with anybody for anything. No. Going to DMVs or post offices, what does that accomplish? Now, I don't know anybody else, but my right to the right to record somebody in a post office is not a right that I'm willing to die on.
If there was and I think you would agree, and I think most anybody would agree, if there was a post office that was reportedly misfiling mail or handling packages wrong, and you're hearing about this, then using your rights to go do this thing, then absolutely, if you see corruption there, but to just go there because you can film while technically, I think the post office was a bad example. DMV would be a better example.
Okay, yeah.
DMV would be, because you can't film in there. We already know Postal 7 is not how they record it. That's why I'm changing to DMV. Let's say DMV, if you go in there and you're just filming because you can, technically, sure, you can go in there and you can do that, right? Fine, I will concede you that. But, excuse me, what purpose, how does that serve the public good?
It doesn't. It just gives them clicks and views, which is what a lot of this is all about. It has nothing to do with the First Amendment. It has to do with them making money by doing what they're doing and annoying people and getting reactions. And you know, I'm all for. I mean, if there's something legitimate, like you said, if there's some serious problem, yes, everyone needs to be held to account for if they're doing something wrong. A lot of countries in the world, if you don't bribe your postman, you don't get your mail. People don't have a clue how free the United States is if you go anywhere else in the world. Even in places in Southern Europe, it's pretty bad.
I mean, why aren't some of these frauders going down to the cities in the Midwest that don't have clean water? Why not put those water departments and public health departments on notice? I mean, there are so many things that they could do that not only would earn them a shitload of money too, because it would put them out there and they will be doing a good, and they could legitimately be activists and things like that. But they don't want to put themselves out there, right? It just defeats their purpose. They talk about how they want to be big and they want to be this, but then they fail to do the things that are going to get them the most notoriety, you know?
Well, I mean, and a lot of it is also, I mean, I have seen time and time and time again on some of these videos that they do, that as soon as they're confronted, who do they run to?
The police.
The people that they're opposing.
Yep.
Immediately, they'll run. They're the first ones to run to the cops. They're the first one to run for help. Yep. And then they sit there and lie. And I mean, good grief. It's ridiculous. And that's, I mean, I started seeing, I just became aware of these guys the last year and a half or so. I was laid up for a while and had to stay at home for about 3 months after I had heart surgery. And I got to watching a lot of these guys, and man, I had no idea what some of these guys were doing. I knew about cop watching and some other stuff like that, but I had no clue.
Not the best videos if you're recovering from heart surgery to be watching one another. They are not the best videos. Just letting you know.
But it was, I don't know. I just, and this thing with files, I mean, go ahead and keep running the video, because I think, do you have is this the one where he's been debating? This isn't the debate.
No, it's not the debate. Okay. It's not the debate.
Because, I mean, a lot of his stuff, he's pretty much, when you get right down to it, a straight sovereign citizen.
It's, you know, I was getting that feel just watching the little bit I've been watching of him. I'm definitely getting that. I don't think the guy talking necessarily is. He doesn't give off soft sit vibes, but Felix does. He gives it off.
And let's face it, at the end of the day, there's a mushy line between frauditors and sovereign citizens. There's a lot of crossover.
There is. I would totally agree with you. And it's wild. Though one does not necessarily preclude the other. Though you're right. There is a lot of
but we Troll brought up the other day about Pierce County versus Green, the Washington State Supreme Court case that said that YouTubers are not press, period. And that his reaction to that was, well, they're wrong. That's still unconstitutional. No, they're not. They're the Supreme Court of Washington. The only place you can appeal that is to the U.S. Supreme Court, which somebody did. And until the Supreme Court rules, that's the law of the land. That is case law. It is relevant case law in all 50 states and all the territories.
No,
constitutional.
No, only Washington.
Well, no, I mean, but it can be used in court as relevant case law in the case.
Oh, yeah, true.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I do agree with you. But unfortunately, I do believe that if it got pushed to the Supreme Court, it would fail. Just because of the law that they're using was in 2007 before the
maybe not. If you read the dissent on that one, even the dissent agrees that the way that law is written, it's going to be hard to overturn it. Now you're right; the Supremes can do anything they want, but
I think they will, though. I mean, it seems that this Supreme Court class, I'm just going to call them a class, they seem to be very pro First Amendment. They like to take these cases and they like to they're really all about the First Amendment, seems like. So
but the Chief Justice Roberts is also he's got a strong libertarian bent to him, and there's been some other cases he's ruled on where it had something to do with people who were getting in violating other people's rights and claiming a right for themselves. and he's pretty consistently ruled against those guys. I mean, he's just the chief, but he has a lot of sway.
I hear what you're saying, but if it did make it up to them, it would basically be, it would have to go off of the definition of media, and I think he wouldn't. I mean, he would have. I mean, there is no other way to.
Well, yeah, you're right on that. I think
they could do it. I mean, they'd have to say, well, yeah. I mean, especially now that Fox News has a YouTube channel. I mean, and David Parkman, he's another single guy.
I know Parkman is.
I mean, you are you going to say he's not media? He doesn't have a big, you know what I mean? It's just.
Oh yeah, I know. There are holes in that argument, but I think what it was addressing was, and this is where it gets dicey. You're right, because I think part of the argument that both sides are going to make is that when the framers wrote the First Amendment, they mentioned freedom of speech and freedom of the press separately for a reason.
They did, and
that is really going to be the crux of whatever the arguments are in that case. I'll be really interested to see if they grant certiorari on that one, because it'll be interesting to see if it makes it to the court.
It'll be interesting to see how they try and correlate freedom of speech, because I mean, freedom of speech doesn't really have anything to do with your access to public records. So that would be, and when they talk about freedom of speech, it's more along the lines of first of all, the government obviously telling you can't do, you getting in trouble from the government for saying certain things, and you don't get any kind of lawsuits or anything like that.
Alan just mentioned in the comments that using green the reverse Reeves County is a bad example. I agree. I mean, as far as it goes, but it's one of the only cases that's out there that addresses it either way. The Supreme Court has never addressed this issue at all.
No, they haven't. And you're right. It is the only thing we have, and it's something that I think, like I said, I think it's going to get overturned. I mean, if it makes it all the way up to the Supreme Court, there's no guarantee it will. Right? We have no guarantee it's very possible that this could remain the law of the land for the next 30 to 40 years, maybe even longer. There's no guarantee the Supreme Court will even hear the case. I think if it was brought up, they would, but someone would have to bring it up there, or there'd be another case that would reference it in which.
Well, there's one that's working its way up from the Fifth. I think it's the Fifth Circuit. One that happened in New Orleans. I cannot recall the name of it. It's flown right out of my head, but it looks like it may be headed to the Supreme Court too. And if those two hit anywhere near the same time, they're going to have to take one of them, because they're going to have to come up with something consistent for all the circuits. It's kind of like with the sovereign citizens and this whole license. The Supreme Court has never ever ruled on. You always hear the sovereign citizens saying
they should.
I don't have to have a license to drive. They've never said that.
I wish they would. I wish. Again, even if they did, they'd still use it as an argument. Say, well, they don't have jurisdiction over me. They still complain. So it wouldn't matter even if they did take it up.
There's one video of some good old boy judge. I think it's in Kentucky. And there's some way he calls it and says, ma'am, I need you to come up here. It's a soft sit, and he calls her name and says, I want to stay back here. Ma'am, I need you to come up here. And he goes on and on. They argue for about 10 minutes, and finally she says, well, I need you to prove jurisdiction. And after all, they go on and on, round and round and round, and she flops around for a while. And finally he says, well, I'll show you that I have jurisdiction. Bailiff, take her into custody. And that ended that today, right there.
Yeah, it did. Man, that's wild. All right, so let's continue this. Glad to have you up there.
Well, thanks. It's good to be
So
here.
if you're John Q. Public and you want to talk out loud and exercise your free speech or film something that's going on, they have no more or less rights than you do in the Supreme Court's eyes. So it says, in the case of involving campaign finance.
I wish I had my little clip. Irrelevant, because that is absolutely utterly irrelevant.
Totally irrelevant.
Like, what is the point of this? That's irrelevant. No shit. They never said you. There was no question that you didn't. Oh my God. See,
irrelevancy is the world these guys live in, though.
Seriously.
Laws, and court rejected the suggested communications by corporate members of the institution press is entitled to greater constitutional protection than the same communication by non-institutional press businesses. So that's So that's the Supreme Court basically saying that all that other stuff that they did is just kind of bullshit, really.
What? Wait.
Yeah, he lost me on that one too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, what? So I can't even respond to that because I don't quite understand his
What
argument.
is he saying?
I don't understand the argument.
Hey, play it back again, will you? I'm curious.
Yeah.
What?
All right, let's go back further because maybe we're missing context somewhere.
But they're saying otherwise, except for that they've cut out this little piece and said, well, in this case, if you apply for public records access, if you're what we consider news media, we'll supply additional information we wouldn't normally give the public. So that was from the First Amendment clinic at Duke Law School that was sending an amicus brief in support of Green, the guy who was suing. So then there was a dissenting opinion. So two of the justices didn't agree with this opinion. And they're like, well, we're going to write why we disagree with it, right? So there was here the important part says, thus, Liberty Champions, Green's YouTube channel, cannot be precluded from counting as news media. The high school newspaper,
that's
a for-profit entity, but yet it's still a newspaper, or is it not a newspaper? So she's saying that if you're going to call it just news media, why is not a newspaper so defined? Which I think is a very valid argument on her part. And then she goes on and says that Liberty Champion easily meets the definition of news based on the record. So looks at the articles and says such items are similar to a recent article in an online edition of Seattle Times. So she went and found an article on Seattle Times that matches similarly an article that he published in his YouTube channel. And it says, which dealt with the reported dangerous behavior of Pierce County Sheriff. As this comparison makes clear, Liberty's champion is news. So two of the justices basically came out and said, he is news. He does qualify. You can't hold it to that very specific definition. But since it's 7-2, they lost, right? That's why it's a dissenting opinion.
And didn't one of the dissenting opinions say something specifically about the Constitution and First Amendment?
So then it goes on, and she writes, perhaps most importantly, however, this interpretation follows the intent of the legislature. If the legislature wanted to prevent the release of this information, it is well within the power to draft a bill that would do so. But the law as it stands requires the release of this information due Liberty Champion's status as news media. So the justice had dissented, and she said also, from the there's two of them that dissented, right? I don't know, it doesn't identify which one specifically said this, but one of the two that
it actually would if you were looking at the brief, but obviously he's not.
Yeah, he's not. Well, part of it, it was a 7-2 decision, but the dissent. Part of the problem with that whole Mr. Allen in the Miss Allen, whoever, whichever it is, in the comments is right about one thing, and that is it is a highly technical opinion about the Washington State law.
It is,
and it's not one of these overarching constitutional things. That's really what you need, because one of the realities of the United States is that the media is kind of like pornography. You know it when you see it. But there's very little case law that actually establishes what is and what is not media. And that's one of the reasons
Washington
County versus Green is important.
Well, Washington actually did define it. I think they're probably one of the only states that I know of that has defined it, and that is why they actually lost this case, because it was properly defined and he didn't meet the definition. Like Seattle said, if he would have had a business or LLC or something, he would have been covered. But since he didn't, he's a sole YouTube provider. He did not. So,
and one of the elements of that, as I remember it off the top of my head, is that they had to have reproducible work product. They always walk in saying, "I'm gathering content for a story." Okay, where's the story? Let me see it. Let me see your previous stories. Let me see who you're writing for. Where are you writing about? There has to be some kind of reproducible corporate. It has to be something other than just.
I don't think it says that in the
free speech.
I don't think it says that in the Washington thing.
Well, I was just looking at it. I'm looking at the dissent right now. I'm trying to find that.
Oh no, the dissent. I'm talking about actual.
Well, it's both. It's the whole. It's the whole
okay.
opinion.
Okay.
But it's 80 pages, so it's kind of hard to
Oh,
find.
it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty big. But the dissent was just made no sense to me. I mean, the dissent. It seemed like they were using modern day arguments for something that was that predates a law that predates the internet.
Okay, I found it. Here it is. All right, RCW 5.68.0105B defines news media. I'm just reading the case here. Okay. Defines news media as any person who is or has been an employee, agent, or independent contractor of any entity listed in A of this subsection who is or has been engaged in bona fide news gathering for such entity and who obtained or prepared the news or information that is sought while serving in that capacity.
Right.
This definition defines news media as an individual and similar to the definition under RCW 568.10 5A, it requires multiple steps to the analysis. First, the person must be an employee, agent, or independent contractor of a news media entity as defined in Part A. This definition is derivative of Part A, and an individual can be news media only when they have one of these statutorily required connections to a valid news media entity. Then the person must also be engaged in bona fide news gathering for the news media entity and must have obtained or prepared the information in that capacity. Here's the important part. Once again, Green cannot satisfy the first part of this test because the Liberties Champion YouTube channel is not a news media entity under Part A. If there is no news media entity, Green cannot therefore be an employee, agent, or independent contractor of a news media entity. Therefore, we do not reach the question. We do not reach the question of Green's relationship to his YouTube channel at all. Green fails the first step of the analysis, so we also do not reach the issue of whether he was engaged in bona fide news gathering or obtained the news or information on behalf of a news media entity. Under the plain meaning of the statute, Green individually does not meet the statutory definition of news media. That's the part I was trying to remember.
Yeah, but all that means is that if he created a business, to do the second part is all he would have to do is show his YouTube channel and show that he has videos relating to quote unquote stories, and he would meet that thing. So I mean, like Seattle said, if he would have been a business, everything would have been golden. He would have been copacetic. So it's not that hard to make that.
And underneath that, well, and this case was really about Green wanting getting to get public records, and right under that they say that Green's intent in seeking exempt records is also therefore quashed because blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
but the issue is what's legitimate news media. I mean, that's really what they did not address. They probably didn't want to address.
Well, no, they did. They said that with the current, they didn't redefine it. They leaned on Washington's definition already.
Well, yes, but they didn't go on a limb and say, and this is what this means.
Well, because they can't make laws. They can only.
No, they can interpret. Supreme Courts do that all the time.
Well,
but you're right. I mean, they can't go changing the plain text meaning of it, and that's where they got stuck.
Yeah, because they could. I mean, they realized that their dude probably could be considered media, but because the plain text of the law says this, well, according to the law, no, he's not. So
I would have,
and that is where the dissenting judges, and I believe that is where the dissenting judges were arguing for him. It's like, well, that doesn't cut it because it's not the plain text of the law. I think they were letting their feelings get involved as opposed to the law.
And that's really where this whole issue is going to eventually be decided, one way or the other. Is what does it mean? What is a legitimate news outlet? That's the question.
It is. It will not a question in Washington anymore until they repeal it.
But I mean, in general, for the United States.
No, I know, I understand.
And
but like I say, it'll be interesting to see if he takes it all the way up to federal level.
Well,
honestly, I don't think
he appealed to the Supremes already. It's already been appealed.
Oh, he's appealing it to the federal judge
level? That's already they're seeking certiorari right now.
Oh, okay, well, good. All right, well, shit, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. It may. I'm hoping it goes in the next Supreme Court.
I don't think it would. No, it's got to go to the lower federal court first.
No, not from the Washington State Supreme Court. It goes straight to the Supreme Court from there.
No, that's true. That's a good point. It already went to the Supreme Court. Yeah.
At least it is. I'm not sure how they, but hang on. I guess I can look it up and find out for sure. I'm pretty sure that they're seeking certiorari to go straight to the Supreme Court.
Well, that
Because
doesn't they might make him go to the federal court. They might make him go to a lower federal court.
They may kick him down to the district court. It'll be interesting to see what happens on that. Yeah, you're right.
But even the district court, I think, would side with them, honestly.
Probably.
I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, it's a temporary win. I admit it, but I mean, it doesn't distract from my point that this guy is he's feeding his people a whole bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, he is, and I mean, I think it's especially that case is really. I mean, what records is? And it always gets me. These guys go, "Well, I'm gonna FOIA that camera on your private phone." No, you're not. You can't. You have no authority to FOIA anything, and it's a request. There are so many exemptions in the FOIA law, things they don't have to grant. Was it 12 categories? And there's about 12 subcategories in every one of the categories. Yeah, I mean that no. And the records request, I think, was part of what was driving the majority on this one to rule like they did. If they opened that up, then any Yahoo with a camera could start filing all kinds of FOIA requests for stuff that nobody needs to know. It would violate people's privacy left and right.
Oh yeah, then he'd open himself up for a lawsuit, which would suck for him.
Yeah, well, that would be terrible for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for him, not for us. It would be terrible for him. All right, let's continue this.
That dissented did. And it says, from the perspective of the First Amendment, distinguishing different news media based on size or organizational structure or status as a legal entity is disfavored, if not outright impermissible. And then it said, Whitener, so it was Whitener, the same one, wrote, to hold that the state law provides otherwise, as a majority does, risk construing the statute in an unconditional or unconstitutional manner, a result we must avoid. So she's saying that if you deem this person not news media for any of this type of stuff, that you're going against the Constitution of the United States and in an unfavorable manner, and we need to avoid doing that. And so in her conclusion, she wrote, I would hold that Liberty Champion is news media under the RCW, therefore satisfies the requirements of the RCW, entitling Green to the documents and information he requested. I would therefore affirm the trial court's decision. So that's pretty much the opinions on both sides and the dissenting opinion. And I think the dissenting opinion certainly gets it right. But all of this is got to do with literally two pieces of information in a public records law.
Okay, yeah, I believe they got it right in according to the 2024 definition, but not the definition of the law, which was in 2007. So I think that is a huge factor.
Yeah, that's a big one. Hey, check your check the private chat. I just gave you the link for the appeal that went. I found the Supreme Court appeal.
Okay, we'll check that out next.
It's actually the actual writ of certiorari that they just filed not too long ago. But the link there is if anybody wants to read it for themselves, there's the link.
Okay.
And not whether he is news media or not. They clearly, all of them, by their admissions of telling them that the state statute is behind, the legislature should fix this. We blame the legislature. And then the two dissenting ones that say, I don't care what the legislature says. I say they are.
So, and that is, I would agree with him that they are saying that, but it doesn't change the fact that he is not media. He doesn't meet the definition. So, I mean, that's great. That's like saying, that is like if I were to, let's say I stole Auditing America's bike, right? And he took me to court over it. But for some reason, I used my Jedi mind trick and I made everyone realize that I didn't really steal the bike. Auditing America knows I stole the bike. And let's say the judge does too, but the jury finds me innocent. The judge could say, I know you did this, but the jury says you didn't. There's not much I can do except say you're wrong. And you really did do that. And I'm like, well, sir, the law says I'm not in trouble. I mean, that's a more funny version of it. But yeah, that's essentially what it is. Like, he is not media, though in 2024, he could be defined as media, but unfortunately, and I really do think now I know it's gonna get reversed. No, I won't say I know, because they might surprise us. They might. I don't think they're gonna take I don't know. I don't see how they would not reverse it. Can you think of an argument to not side with them? I can't think of an argument they could use to say no, you're not media. I can't think of it.
That's the big question. I mean, why? And it's going to come down to the text of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Why did they put free speech and media both in there if it's the same thing?
Ooh, that's going to be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this should be cool. Oh, that'll be so funny if they were against him. They would fucking lose their shit, and I would laugh so hard.
Yeah, we would see a lot of real crybaby tears, I think.
Oh God, it would. I don't think it would kill the movement, but it would definitely hurt it.
Yeah,
definitely hurt.
Well, and what gets me, as an example, you've seen so many of these post office videos, right?
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, they're either idiots by plan, or they're just idiots because they don't pay attention, or they just are idiots. I'm not sure which, but I mean, Poster 7 is so specifically clear about you cannot record in a post office without the permission of the postmaster or other designated person or whatever. There's this list of like 8 things that you have to have authority from before you can do it. It's not you shall, it's they may let you do it if they feel like it. And the default position is you cannot record in a post office, period, full stop. But the way they present that to their folks, they read the first couple of sentences and then don't read the rest.
No, they do, and it's ridiculous. It was one of those. It's one of those things like how they interpret it kind of like the way sovereign citizens interpret the definition of driving, right?
Right.
It's like they read it like, "Whoa, this is
actually,
what."
That's a good parallel. I never thought of that one. That's interesting. That's a good idea.
Because and our argument was, well, that was a really old interpretation, right? Well, yeah, that was, and like, well, it doesn't matter still. Well, no, if you look at updated copies of the law book, they fixed that because of idiots, right? Now, Poster 7 has not been updated. That's a good question to see. Can somebody look up when Poster 7 debuted or when it first showed up? I'd be interested.
The original?
Yeah, the original Poster 7. I'm curious.
Hang on a second. I think it was
it's pretty old.
79, if I remember right.
It might be. And that would make sense because the reason they're saying for media for public meetings is because they used to hold public meetings in the post office for like missing children, for like announcements, things like this. I can't remember the last time a public meeting was held in a post office, unless you're in a super small town. Then I could see that.
November of 1985.
85. Oh, so it's not that old. I'm older than it.
But I'm sure they had another policy before that.
Yeah, probably. But even in the 80s, they're still having public meetings in post offices. So
yeah, but recording. I mean, the technology just wasn't there for recording to really be much of an issue.
No, and they were just thinking people are coming there with a little Polaroid camera taking pictures, right? That's what they.
Yeah, they weren't thinking about somebody that had a save size as a Polaroid camera that can do a high definition video for hours.
Exactly.
Let's face it, the law needs to catch up with the technology. I think that's one thing that's very
that is the biggest problem with our just the whole government model is they don't update definitions. They really don't. They need to really go through every law, everything, and update it to deal with how we are. Because I mean, they just really do. It's pretty ridiculous. Mm-hmm. I wonder how they misread the DHS memo and giving information that either says you need 30 days prior written permission for commercial or No, you cannot. It's considered a dangerous weapon. All right, so let's continue this.
The pepper.
So
You can't carry
everybody
pepper
pretty
spray.
much
Pepper
is
spray.
is rock solid on this guy is news media.
No, the law isn't, and they go by the law. So no, they're not rock solid. Ha!
No, not
Take
even
that.
close to rock solid.
Take that.
And it's obvious.
Yes, it's obvious he's not media by law.
Well, it's obvious to somebody that understands
Oh.
what they are talking about in general.
Oh.
And the fraud guy,
Uh-huh.
he is oblivious to any of the facts. He doesn't read it. He cherry picks the little bullet points.
This is a response to Frauditor Trolls video.
Okay. The fraud. That's the fraud guy. Okay, gotcha.
Points that he wants.
This is before the debate, so I'm thinking this is what led up to the debate.
That would make that makes sense.
To put out there in his favor, and he did it with a bunch of other stuff too. Like I said, I went through the first half of the thing again today and took a bunch of notes on it. But the Supreme Court also, this is the Supreme Court. I believe this one was, this is the United States Supreme Court. So what does the United States Supreme Court say about this? Because let's face it, the Washington Supreme Court is meaningless to 49.
Now, here's the thing, and I think we're finally going to get into when he said what we got confused about. Though the Supreme Court hasn't ruled on it yet, they're going to. Well, maybe. Somebody in the federal government's going to rule on it.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know.
And see, the thing about it is with the CFR being what it is, they could the executive branch could issue some kind of regulation, and it would have the same weight as law through the CFR that anything that anybody else could do. It seems like that would be the simpler way to take care of the whole problem, but they haven't done it.
Yeah, no.
And in this case, if it goes above their head, it's going to be meaningless to their state too. But the Supreme Court had noted, although it has been uncertain whether people who blog or use other social media are journalists entitled to the protection of media shield laws. So the media shield laws are, again, not being able to be forced to give up your sources and stuff. They are protected by the free speech and free press clauses, neither of which differentiates between media businesses and non-professional speakers. This is further supported by the Supreme
I don't know
Court,
about that.
which has refused.
Well, he's right. They haven't. There is
federal law sure does.
There's no federal defined media term.
Yeah, but there are federal laws about. For instance, as an example, presidential debates. I guarantee you there are federal regulations about who's considered media and who's not.
Yeah, but that's not I don't think that's.
That's what I was getting at earlier. It's so ill defined. Okay, who decides? That's the problem. And you're right. It's a mess, and that's the mess. There's not really anything in the federal law that says one way or the other. But if they wanted to say we were wrong, we could say they were wrong just as easily.
Well, but I'm just saying, what you're saying isn't like presidential debates. It's not. It's more like it's not codified. It's more of just a general rule that they use, right?
Right. It's not codified. You're right. That's the problem. But there are. It's like being in the British system where they use convention. They use conventional things so much. Like, the office of prime minister in the United Kingdom actually doesn't exist anywhere. But the prime minister is certainly the prime minister. And it's because they use conventions. They use just agreed upon things that everyone says, yeah, okay, we'll do that.
But
Same thing with this. Yeah, it is.
Dangerous. Because if you don't have it written down, codified somewhere, then it could be challenged and just gone.
Mm-hmm. Very much. Very easily.
Yeah.
To grant increased First Amendment protection to institutional media over other speakers. So if you're John Q. Public and you want to talk out loud and also, this is the Supreme Court. I believe this one was, this is the United States Supreme Court. So what does the United States Supreme Court say about this? Because let's face it, the Washington Supreme Court is meaningless to So the media shield laws are, again, not being able to be forced to like give up your sources and stuff. They are protected by the free speech and free press clauses, neither of which differentiates between media businesses and non-professional speakers. This is further supported by the Supreme Court, which has refused to grant increased First Amendment protection to institutional media over other speakers. So if you're John Q. Public and you want to talk out loud and exercise your free speech or film something that's going on, they have no more or less rights than you do in the Supreme Court's eyes. So it says, in the case of involving campaign finance laws, and court rejected the suggested communications by corporate members of the institution press is entitled to greater constitutional protection than the same communication by non-institutional press businesses.
So okay, I don't know where he's going with this, but
Me either.
it sounds like, to me, it sounds like he's trying to say that it doesn't matter what Washington says because the Supreme Court says institutional media doesn't have anything extra over John Q. Public media. Which I'm thinking I hope he doesn't, but I think maybe he's going to try and make the connection that this is another reason why they're wrong, which is not. No,
it's not. And I mean, he's right. In one sense, the Washington Supreme Court ruling, technically speaking, is just for Washington, but anybody can bring it up in court, and any judge can take judicial notice of it and make it a part of their ruling. It's case law.
It is. No, yeah, and they don't get any extra rights, but
none at all.
But when you're talking about rights, you're talking about like more of like rights under the federal government, under state government, things like this, right? This is like those aren't public records do not fit in that same category. They're two separate categories.
No, you're right. I mean, it really cracks me up. These guys, like Chili DeCastro is a good example of this. I'm a constitutional law scholar. I have special privileges. No. Everybody has the same rights. Period.
Yeah,
and it's not something that they can. There are press shield laws. That's what part of Pierce County versus Green was about. Was both the press shield laws and the ability to file information, Freedom of Information Act requests and that sort of thing. But it's the press has never had any more rights than anybody else.
No,
but
never.
It's a lot of these guys seem to think that because they're the press and they have a camera, they can do whatever the hell they want. No, you can't. I'm sorry.
Or they're entitled to all this information. You'll see them go to police. Well, why don't you tell me what's going on here? They don't have to tell anybody. They don't have to tell any news agency, anybody what's going on if they choose not to.
And at the same time, the press still has to identify. Well, they still have to identify themselves. They still have to comply with the law. If a police officer at a crime scene or a traffic accident tells them to stand back 100 feet, they stand back 100 feet. Or they're interfering. They don't have the right to interfere with anything. Yep. And these guys think because they have a camera, it gives them some sort of magical power to do whatever they want. I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now.
If you let this guy disparage Governor DeCastro, you will be getting a cease and desist order in the mail tomorrow. Good thing he doesn't know where I live.
Yeah, me too. By the way, Chili, I live in Alaska.
All right, do this.
So that's So that's the Supreme Court basically saying that all that other stuff that they did is just kind of bullshit, really.
See, yep, I was right. That's what he tried. That's where we got confused. And I understand where he's coming from. And no, that's bullshit. That what you just read right there doesn't all of a sudden make the Washington, like all of a sudden he reads that, they're like, Washington's like, you know what? This guy just fucking proved us wrong. God damn it. I have to quit now because this internet motherfucking lawyer told me that I'm wrong. No. God. Wow. Maybe that guy is a soft set too.
He sounds like one to me.
That's what I'm saying. Now I'm starting to think he really does. This dude is a fucking moron. Oh my!
I hate to break it to all the soft sits, but the government can tell you what to do. That's why they're elected.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why it is important to fucking vote.
Yep.
Make sure you vote. Make sure the people that are in power and making your laws are on your side and agree with.
And that's why legitimate cop watching and legitimate, whatever you want to call it, is important. But there's a big difference between legitimate cop watchers who are recording cops doing something. So they, like the lady who recorded the thing in Minneapolis, and these guys.
Yep. Yes, Alan, that is exactly what his logic is saying. This guy is, I mean, I'm glad we went back and heard that because wow.
Yeah. Well, C. Allen is right. I mean, he's right. Anytime social media, let's say YouTube, like didn't Afro Hairboy or whatever his name is get his channel terminated just recently?
Did he? I don't know.
Someone said that he had gotten completely kicked off YouTube, and C. Allen's right. I mean, according to that thought process, he could go sue him because he's infringing on their First Amendment rights. Bad news. First, the YouTube's a private company. They can let on their platform whoever they want and keep people off.
Nobody gets very far when they say they want to sue YouTube. It just doesn't work. YouTube, Facebook, all these platforms, good luck suing them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just ain't going to happen. And remember when what's the guy's name that started the Tesla company?
Elon Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk. I mean, when he took over Twitter, he got sued a couple of times, and it went absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, easy. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's continue.
That's the bottom line.
No, it's not.
So in 2007, the courts in Washington ruled that there's two types of media: independent, regular, free press, and then an entity style media who's like incorporated, who can get extra information like.
Wait, whoa. What the hell just happened here?
We have gone to the Twilight Zone again.
I know, like, wait a minute. Now this dude said that one thing and it blew homie's mind. Now he's going with a completely unrelated definition. Okay, we got to start. That deserves a start over.
Well, and that's how these guys operate, though. Well, that one's not working. Let's make something else up.
I mean, no, this to me proves how gullible this guy is.
Yep.
One thing this guy said, and it sounded fancy. I'll give him that. But when you actually listen to what he's saying, no. He's not backing up with anything. You hear, this is what a lot of people, they hear Supreme Court, and they hear a guy that is very confident in what he's saying. They automatically think he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, it's not that case.
Yeah, you got that right. And in a nutshell, because a lot of these guys, I mean, they were talking in the chat earlier about getting a YouTube law degree. I mean, when you get your diploma, it says the YouTube School of Laws and Chicken Preparation. I mean, don't listen to people on YouTube when they're talking about the law.
Yeah, no, do not. Please don't. Don't listen to me either, because I'm not a law.
I'm not a lawyer either. I mean, I know something about it, but I'm certainly not a lawyer. And get a
yeah.
Listen to someone who knows what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, my chat corrects me, but don't believe them either, because I don't think. Well, no, I don't know. There might be a lawyer in chat somewhere, but if they are, fucking look at what kind of law they do, because if someone's doing environmental protection, talking about First Amendment stuff, you'd be okay to question that. I'm gonna let you know.
Well, C. Allen seems to know what C. Allen seems to know what's going on.
Well, he's very C. Allen. If I don't want to say it's a guy or a girl, they seem to be well informed and at least have an open mind and not let other people influence what they know to be fact.
And I know Internet God from other channels. He knows what
he knows what he's talking about as well too. They're all very fair. They both will let me know when I'm fucking wrong about something. Like, motherfucker, shut the fuck up. Especially Internet God. He's really mean. I'm just letting you know right now. He's a fucking mean bastard is what he is.
But he's an accurate one.
Yeah.
Amendment protection to institutional media over other speakers. So if you're John Q. Public
Right.
and you want to talk out loud and exercise your free speech or film something that's going on, they have no more or less rights than you do in the Supreme Court's eyes. So it says, in the case of...
See, that perked him up right there. And that's what got him, and it confused him.
Yep.
Because you heard something he liked, and now he's about to be confused.
Well, and he also doesn't seem to realize that no constitutional right is absolute.
No.
When your rights start conflicting with the rights of others,
Yes.
then there are restrictions. I mean, with the First Amendment, the Supreme Court time and again has ruled time, place, and manner have everything to do with your First Amendment rights. That's what the whole forum doctrine's about.
You cannot scream fire in a crowded theater or anywhere. You can't do it. They won't allow it. You will be.
And not everything is a traditional public forum.
Nope. That's another thing they really dislike. And they're trying to get, they like to use this public forum name because it's fucking factual. Sorry, you don't like it. It's fucking factual.
I'm sorry, somebody's private office in a government building is not a public forum. You can't walk in there. You can't record in there. You shouldn't be there. You have no business being in the building there. Get out.
Right? Like it's public forum. It's public. Like, okay, so, but you won't go in that public office, will you? Oh, well, no, I won't go in the private office. Why? Oh, because I can't, because it's restricted. Why is it restricted? Oh, I don't know. Oh, it's because of the public forum doctrine. Confusion. I don't, brain exploding. It's ridiculous.
My brain's gonna bust.
Yeah.
Involving campaign finance laws, and court rejected the suggested communications by corporate members of the institution press is entitled to greater constitutional protection than the same communication by non-institutional press businesses.
Okay, now here he goes. He's about to break it. All right, listen to this, guys. He's about to break it down. Oh, you know what? I gotta play some music for this part. Let's see what we got. Where is?
Hold on, I got it. Dun 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 dun. Dun.
Let's see.
The Dragnet theme doesn't work. Okay.
Nah.
There you go.
Get out of work. Turn down a little bit. There we go. All right, listen to the ultimate breakdown, fellas and ladies.
So that's that's the Supreme Court basically saying that all that other stuff that they did is just kind of bullshit, really. That's the bottom line.
So, in 2007, the courts in Washington ruled that there's two types of media: independent, regular, free press, and then an entity-style media who's like incorporated, who can get extra information like dates of birth and personal names because they thought that the entity had an obligation to redact those, or they trusted them, versus the average Joe citizen that didn't have a license and media and government permission to run a big operation could just take all that information and publish it all willy-nilly. So they were scared. They're trying to protect somebody's personal information.
John, did that hurt when you pulled that out of your butt like that?
Okay. Now, I want to phrase this right, so I'm taking a minute. He's partly got it. The part he has right is they did not trust everyday people to get information. This is true. Again, because of the perceived notion of ethics in journalism, right?
Well, they didn't even trust regular people to vote for president. That's why we got the Electoral College.
Yeah. So part in that aspect, yes, he is right. Where he is wrong is where he's talking about they made two different press. No, they had to legally, or they chose to legally define what media is. And they defined it for whatever reason they can't. I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't a fly on the wall, so I can't really tell you why they chose to define it the way they chose to define it, right? But that is what they did for legal reasons. The same reason you have legal definitions. You have Black's Law Dictionary, right? Is it Black's? It is Black. Am I right?
Yeah.
All right. So Black's Law Dictionary, right? Legal definitions. Legal definitions a lot of times differ from Merriam-Webster for good reason. And
yeah, but
again,
I don't know a court in the world that uses Black Law's Dictionary in actual court proceedings. It's just not done anymore.
I don't think they do, but I think they would have grounds too if somebody didn't, if there was ever a dispute off the meaning of a legal term, they could use it for reference, and it would be it would be accepted. Honestly,
maybe it depends on what. It would depend on the case, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think so. I mean, because if there's ever a dispute on the definition of a word, I mean, there has to be a accepted definition. Isn't that Black's Law Dictionary?
Well, they use. I mean, I find it interesting that most courts today actually use Merriam-Webster dictionary as the official dictionary. Oh yeah, yeah. Most courts that I've never actually seen a case. I'm sure there may be one out there, but I have never seen a case where they directly quoted Black's Law Dictionary. I just haven't seen it.
Okay. Well, it's supposed to go that way. Okay. So at least you would think that's why they have because to me it doesn't make sense why have a legal definition if you don't use it. I don't get that. It doesn't make sense.
Well, now 100 years ago, yeah, Black's Law Dictionary was used, but Black's Law Dictionary, I mean, it's still there. Yes, I suppose it's still usable. I mean, like I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I have never heard of a case. Well, okay, maybe one. Or I think there's a couple of soft set cases I can remember now where Black's Law Dictionary was referred to, but it was to refute it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's my point. I think that most people and most lawyers, judges, prosecutors, things like this, they already have they know the definitions. The only time they would bring it out is if a definition was in question, like if it was a definition that was scarcely used, and they had to, rely on Black's Law Dictionary to get a understanding of, what exactly it is they need to rule on or defend or something like that. I don't think it's in regular use, but I do think that if it were to need to be in use legally, it could be, and there wouldn't be any conflict.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I suppose. Yeah. I can see that.
Okay. It's there. So we agree upon that. Good. Now, again, we're not saying we're right here. I'm just going off of this is all common sense to me, and my common sense may be off, but this is what I'm going off of. All right, so I don't even know I forget where I was going with that now. They were different. No, so they were so just different. They're different definitions, and so it's just legally defined now. They're not touching the broad term of media, which obviously they didn't touch. They weren't worried about what you or me would consider media. They're dealing with what the law will consider media sources and things like that.
Right.
So in a sense, he's wrong. He's wrong. They're not making two definitions. Well,
no, they're not. There's only one kind of press. There's not a
there's just one kind of press, but for legal reasons, they're defining press a certain way. It has to be a certain way to qualify for legal reasons or whatever. So, which makes sense.
If you look in the chat, Ludite Neanderthal gave a really good definition of what Black's Law is. Black's Law Dictionary now it's legal Cliff's Notes. That's a good that's a good way to put it.
They make sure and learn journal Black's Law is a teaching old. It's legal Cliff Notes. Statutes contain only their own definitions that apply only to that statute.
Right. Very good. Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to put it. It's a teaching aid. But it's there. I've Ludite Neanderthal. I'm curious. Have you ever seen it used in a court case? I can't recall any court cases that I've seen it used, but I don't know that.
But then, if the law has a statute that defines a certain word to be, if it says, all right, so media, like in this 2007, they made the thing that said media is this. So whenever media is used in legislature or law, this is how they're going to define it. So therefore, in all legal proceedings, they use this definition of media. But what what he's saying is it's only for that specific statute. But the statute itself defines media. So,
well, part of it is also though. I mean, I'm trying to remember. I think it was the DMA case. Don't make me swear to that because I'm not positive, but I
No,
think
swear
that
to
in
it.
that case
Swear
the
to it.
court
We
the
need you to
court
swear to it
used,
right now.
the court used Merriam-Webster in its because it specifically said a couple of times that Merriam-Webster defined such and such. I think they were talking about a lobby or something, and they used the Merriam-Webster legal definition of a lobby. I think I'm not sure that was the DMA case. It was one case that I was looking at a while back. I think it was the DMA case, but I can't remember for sure.
All right, now I see what you're saying. Ludendorff, I do trust that you know what you're talking about. Then I guess the one thing that I would question is if statutes themselves only apply to that statute, then how could a Supreme Court of any be how can you use that? You know what I mean? Especially in this case, because this case is saying media is this. Could they really use it in any other? Could they use it as precedence if media will obviously have a different definition, or it needs a different definition because it's only covered for the certain statute in Washington? See what I'm saying?
Oh, they can always use a case to argue press. I mean, if there's let's say you've got a related statute on something, they can certainly argue that. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that says you can't argue.
Okay, yeah. So you argue, it doesn't mean they have to use it or take it. Yeah,
right. Yeah, I mean, the court, the courts can pretty much whatever is argued in court. That's the judge's job or the panel's job, or if they're in blank, the whole court's job to decide which argument is what the law actually says.
Yeah. Hi, Ray. Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this turns about. All right, I'm done watching this dude because he's just hurting my mind. He's hurting my brain right now. All right, you know what?
Brain pain is never fun.
Let us look up this dude's channel. What was it? It was American. It was Rennick. Hold on. What was the dude's channel's name that did the thing? I can't remember what they said it was. Hold on. Let's see.
Of this type of stuff, the ones that say, I don't care what the legislature says, you do, and the risk we disagree
what
with
was
it,
the dude's
right?
name? Green.
So
what was the channel name, guys?
There was
here
the
they said
important
it
price says, thus Liberty Champions.
There we go. Liberty Champions. Ooh, that was good timing. Liberty. Let's see if he still has a channel.
Hey, Ray.
There it is. Exposing corruption, educating the people. Oh, yeah, he's an auditor. Come witness planned terrorism, kidnapping. T reason the J and C expose lockdown lies and it passes away. Okay, videos. Oh, he hasn't posted in 7 months. Oh, it's been a while. I wonder why he hasn't posted. He wasn't getting a whole lot of views. God, yeah, no. Isn't that funny? Everyone talks about it, and there's why don't you talk about this? Why didn't anyone else bring this up and bring this man recognition? Poor guys. Poor fella. His own people didn't help him.
And that's what most of them are about is clout.
Yeah, but they didn't want to help a fellow auditor out. And the guy said, I don't know if he's an auditor. Bullshit. You can look at his channel and see he is. Are you kidding me?
That's usually pretty self-revealing.
Yeah. All right, what does he say? It was just a community post. He hasn't posted yet. Does he go live? Nope. He doesn't go live either. Okay. Huh. Well, there you go. So if you guys ever want to go check his channel out, Liberty's Champion, there it is. Though he's not a regular poster, so I highly doubt he would read any of your insulting comments. I'm sure that's what you guys would put down there. But don't tell him I sent you. I'm not like that. I won't do that. That's why I'm not telling you his name at all, See my cursor? It is not circling the name.
You mean
At all.
You mean that name? Oh,
It is
wait,
not.
you mean that name, or do you mean Jason Gutterman? Jason Gutterman. I'm sorry.
It is not doing that at all, guys. I am not doing this. I am not championing looking for him at all. I would never ever do such a thing. And if anyone says I did, they're a liar. And
I deny that emphatically.
And a fart head. All right. That was fun.
You better watch it. They're gonna make you they're gonna make you give them your badge and name number.
Badge and name number. God. That was so hilarious when I saw that. That was like
give me your badge and name number. And
it was funny because that who said that was actually the Alaskan guy. He's the one.
Oh, was it?
It was a Canadian guy. It was a Canadian guy, actually. I'm sorry. It was.
I thought that was the guy who claimed to be a lawyer.
Maybe he said it.
The one that was jumping up and down saying he was a lawyer.
No, it was some Canadian dude. Not Canadian rights. No, yeah, Canadian rights or something like that.
And have you ever seen these guys in like Canada or Ireland? We were watching one earlier from Ireland or the UK or Australia who claim their First Amendment privilege, and they're gonna rely on the Uniform Commercial Code. And dude, you're in the wrong country.
Oh shit! What's up, Hezekiah? How are you doing today? You guys
Hezekiah is here. All right,
more than welcome to come on up. We just we were just checking out. We just finished looking at stupid John Felix and his critique of Auditor troll prior to the debate, and well, his critique was full of sweet nothings. Sweet nothings. It was a lot of sweet nothings in my ear, and I feel dumber for having listened to it. I do. I really do. It was pretty horrible. I suggest not doing it, but it was funny because it was fun to laugh at him. It was fun. But my rights. All right, let me think. Is there another video we could check out? Did I have anything?
I'm sure there is.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to think. Did I have anything else? Let's see. We checked out that.
Hey, I have a question just for everybody. Is the whole thing between Fraud Wrangler and Christopher Ryder getting a little obsessive, or is it just me?
It seems like I've been to the last two lives and he keeps talking about him. It's like it's getting a little. And to be honest, I don't know what started it. Hell, I don't even know what started the issue between Fraud Wrangler and Auditor Troll and Dr. Dave. I'm so out of deep on that. I have no clue why all of a sudden they started getting into shit.
But it just seems like I don't know. I just kind of. There's got to be other stuff to talk about. But maybe it's just me. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I'm with you. I think that people get on a certain kick and then they just ride it until the wheels fall off. That's what it seems like is happening. I think he's riding until the wheels fall off. And also, I think he says some stuff about his family, and he says something about his wife, and I think he took it personally, which I don't blame him for taking it personally at all. So maybe that might have something to do with
Christopher Ryder. If anyone ever deserved it, he does. But I mean, it's just Wrangler's not wrong. I don't know. Wrangler's certainly making good points. Tony Kruger did too.
Yeah, I mean, kind of is what it is at that point. But, all right, let's see what. Did you guys check out the State of the Union? That was a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was interesting. Joe sure seemed awake that time, didn't he? He was very awake. It was pretty interesting. All right, let me think. What else? I wanted to look at. Let me look at my liked videos. What did I want to look at? All right, look at that. Well, do you have any suggestions?
I wish I could find. There's one that Afro Man might be kind of fun to look at for a while, just to continue what we were talking about. But I can't think of anything that hasn't been looked at a lot lately. I don't know. Hez, you got any ideas, Ray?
Yeah, anybody got any ideas of somebody to check out? Maybe it'll be someone new.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people I haven't covered. Like I never covered that dude that he's at what's his face is getting into it with. Never covered him. Never covered John Felix either. Now I'm thinking, what should I had?
Yeah, John. He's kind of. I've seen him on several debates and stuff. I don't really, watch him that much, but it seems like he's always kind of teetering on the edge between sovereign cits and frauditors.
Yeah,
Hezekiah would be the guy to ask about that kind of stuff. He's very good at that sort of thing. He understands all those guys.
They're not hard to understand. They're special. They're special. All right. I guess we'll check out this guy. Corruptorado Watch. I like the name. I don't think I've seen this video before. So I've seen his videos before. He can be a dick and he can be passable. We'll see what he is in this video. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. Oops. Oh. Oops. Whoopsie. I ain't played that game in forever.
Whoopsie.
You ever notice what I never noticed is that in what was it? Was it Sega Genesis? No, it was Nintendo. The blood was gray.
I never really thought about it.
Yeah, and maybe it wasn't Nintendo, but it was one of the consoles. Yeah, it was Nintendo. Sega made it red, and then Nintendo, when Mortal Kombat was released, they made the blood gray instead of red. Sega Genesis had red. I don't know. I didn't notice it until I was watching a video. I was watching a documentary on Sega, and that's what they were talking. I'm like, holy shit! I didn't recognize that, but maybe I guess it didn't bother me when I was a kid. It would bother me now. Or maybe it was green. It was either gray or green or something like that. It was something really weird. I'm like, yeah, it would bother me now, but I guess as a kid, I'm like, this is cool. Because when it first came out, it was fucking awesome.
Yep. Hey, listen, man, I've got to step away from it. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right.
Somebody's at the door. I'll be right back.
All right. All right, here we go. We're gonna go out and check this dude out. This dude. Share screen. Why does? We're good. All right. So yeah, this is gonna be Corruptorado Watch. Yeah, console had red blood, but I think it was Nintendo when they first released it, or maybe it was more. Yeah, I think it was original Mortal Kombat. I think Mortal Kombat 2 they fixed it, but in the original, I believe Nintendo had green blood. All right, here we go.
Number 2027. Design flag. 2129.
They love to get card numbers, don't they?
Morning. See you. Hey, whose front car is out there? Whose front car is that?
It belongs to the city of Colorado Springs.
I get that, but which one of you is driving is what I'm asking.
We're both driving.
So
Nobody's
there's
driving.
two cops, there's two cars. Is there a third that I don't know about? Because I asked who's driving the vehicle in the front.
Nobody's
Who's?
driving it. It's sitting
Huh?
empty.
What's that?
Nobody's driving it. It's sitting empty.
Okay, look, I'm not trying to be a smartass with you. Apparently, you're trying to be a smartass. Okay, I'm trying to be cordial with you. Which one of you is driving that front vehicle when you get in that car and drive?
Oh, I came in that vehicle.
Okay, do me a favor. Around this area, keep your window up, man. Keep your computers down. Policy states you to have them down, man. I'm not supposed to be able to see that shit.
They just really feel the need to be like, do this, do that. Anytime they feel that they have the right, they have the power to tell police or any government official what to do, they feel the need to, because they don't like it when the police tell them what to do, because they have a issue with authority figures, which, you know, is a lot of people do, honestly. But yeah, that's the reason why they do that.
And I could have reached in your car and grabbed anything I wanted to just for the hell of it. Just give if I wanted to be a dick. If I wanted to be, I get that.
Right there.
I get that, but still, that's the temptation. You got all kinds of alcoholics and drug addicts and shit. Come on, man. You know, be professional. What's your name and badge number?
1453.
Name?
Wilberding.
Thank you. You have a good one, Reed. Yep. You guys, always got to be one who wants to be a smartass, you know?
See, here's the thing, like, there's no, I mean, again, cop watching is great, but now he's trying to become the story. That it's not about, he wants to be the star of this video. Like, I'm telling the police what to do. And
well, now
things
there's
like
your answer for what the definition between press and non-press is. If you remember the press, you don't make yourself a part of the story.
right.
I mean, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I got no problem with auditors that do this. Just chill back, watch, don't involve themselves. You know, unless you see a police officer like maliciously like violating someone's rights.
Yeah, like
just-
what happened in Minneapolis. That was a very egregious example of what you should be interfering
Yeah.
with.
Agreed. Where he's wanting to go further back, the Rodney King thing.
Yeah. Which, that was what really the first one of the first real cases of cop watching.
Yes. Exactly. See, this guy right here, he has a good head on his shoulders. Even though he's a douchebag like internet god. I attract the douchebag watch. I do. I attract the douchebag watchers. They'll tell you, God damn it, Kenny, you're fucking wrong, idiot. They call me idiot all the time. It's not even funny, man. No, I'm kidding. They don't do that. But I'm sure if I deserved it, they would. And I'd be okay with that. That is a nice car, though.
Yeah, especially for a cop car, right? That's probably an
So
Interceptor.
what's the deal with this? Some of the storage, quasi storage spot right here that you guys were just checking out. No, the slip right there. Does that belong? I don't know. I'm just asking you that. It seems to be a new storage facility now, I guess, over.
Yes, but they don't have to answer you.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. Apparently, they're going to put up a vacate order, kind of like they do at the camps when they put up a tag saying you can't be camping there or whatever.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe welding.
So much private property, you know. I don't know why people think they can just see all this stuff right here, guys. All this stuff right here. This here does not belong to these people over here. But apparently, we got a mixture of trash and clothes. I don't know what else, man.
Now, why does anyone need to know any of this?
They don't. God, I'd hate to be on cleanup to that place. Holy shit.
Yeah, that would be kind of unpleasant.
God, you know, they're depending on where there are black widows,
it'll be the city
brown
that's cleaning all this
recluse.
shit up.
Large snakes.
Oh, you know who I haven't seen today?
9 foot
Cliff.
blowing guys with swords.
I haven't seen Cliff Hickson today. Where's he? I'm surprised he's not here. Vlad was here earlier, but Vlad's gone. Nuke it from space, yeah. That would do it. So it's just open, no fence, no nothing.
Apparently, I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks. Well, maybe we're not seeing. It looks like maybe the fence goes around and then just stops. I don't know.
A mattress back here.
Yeah.
Bunch of tire wheels.
Looks like something's going on. Looks like somebody lives there. I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
Could be a workshop or something in the backyard.
Yeah. Backyard of a business, maybe. Was somebody maybe camping out back there?
Could be.
Maybe at one point it was a parking lot.
I'm hoping you don't fall, man. I would have to edit that one out. You guys have a good one. Be safe out there, man. Man, see, this is what happens when people just ain't got nowhere to live, so they'll come and trash all this shit over here, you know? And they leave a big-ass mess like this, man, for the fucking city, guys. You know? That's crazy, man. Just crept the Rado watch. Fuck the blue line flag. We're in a mob out here after you guys leave. We'll catch them.
right. Well, I guess that fool was done. All right. Well, that wasn't too horrible, I guess. He wasn't too bad in that one. I've seen him worse. So. All right. So, see, I've been going about almost 4 hours now. I think I'm gonna call it for the day. But thank you for coming up.
Yeah, this was great, man. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I didn't realize you were on. I would have been there sooner.
No worries. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if my notifications weren't going out, or I just don't even know. Honestly,
I've been having some trouble getting my notifications. I don't know what's going on with that. I've been having some real trouble with getting notifications on a lot of stuff. So it's not just you. I'm wondering if they're having some problems because all that hacking that happened with Facebook the other day. I'm wondering if maybe some other stuff didn't happen they don't know about yet.
It's very, very possible. It is. And that is the thing with all this, with us relying on technology so more, there's gonna be more hackings and there's gonna be a lot of problems. And it's one of the things I fear about us relying on the internet for everything. It's not a good idea. Not without backups, it's not a good idea.
Oh, I hear you for sure.
Even if they want to keep everything digital, fine. Keep everything on a separate server that is not hooked up to the internet, so that way it's not under attack, right? Or even keep hard copies of things. There's just you gotta have a backup, and I honestly fear they don't have any. We are a reactionary society, right? We don't do shit unless there's a reason to do it, and I just don't see it. There's going to be some hacker that shows that was just going to be smart as fuck and going to fuck us all up.
Yep, big time. That kind of has happened a couple times almost. So you don't have to wonder what's going to happen next.
Yeah, because they're just going to get, especially with AI now. Oh man, AI is scary.
Mm-hmm.
It is scary.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how that develops over the next few years because that could get really disturbing,
especially in the political sphere. I mean, you can get a political opponent fucking put in jail for some shit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
this next election is going to be interesting.
Oh, it really is, and it's gonna be crazy. We'll see. Honestly, I'm kind of happy to get it over and done with, just so we don't have to see neither one of them again after.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Because I mean, win or lose, Biden's not coming back. He's too old. Win or lose, Trump won't be coming back again. He's too old.
Yep.
So I mean, either way, this will be the last time we see either one of them. But then again, there really is nobody. I mean, who would replace them?
Oh, I can think of a lot of people.
I don't know on the Democrat side. On the Republican side, yes, but not on the Democrat side.
Oh, Mark Warner, the senator from Virginia, would be a good choice. There's a number of Democrats you could look at.
Okay. Just count the fingers. I heard that. Just count the fingers in AI. I did hear that.
Yeah.
That's true. The human hands, yeah, they do have an issue with the human hands. I've heard that. Yeah. Well, all right, guys.
I'll see you later. Take care.
All right, yeah. This has been a whole lot of fun.
Yeah,
I hope you guys all have a fantastic rest of your day. I have a new video which will be out tomorrow. Okay. And I should have a video out for most of the week. Maybe not Friday, but Monday through Thursday, barring some catastrophic injury or death. Yes, I will have a video out for you guys.
Well, there's a pleasant thought.
Well, I mean, I'm just, I know it's not a pleasant thought. I just hate that. I just recently, I was talking to my mom, and she's like, "Oh, something about her death." I'm like, "Don't throw that into the fucking universe." It's like, don't do that. We don't like to think about that type of stuff. We know it's possible, but we don't like to be reminded of it.
Yes, we don't. Trust me.
No,
hey, I'll talk to you later, brother. Take care.
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, guys.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, bye. All right, guys. So thanks again, and we will be, like I said, new video tomorrow. Yeah. So please, let's see, goodbye to people. Bye, Audit. Bye, see Alan. See Alan. All you guys. everyone. All right, man. Peace. See you in the next video.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show